Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get started for today and call this meeting of Senate Committee on Growth and Infrastructure to order. Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Buck? Here. Senator Hansen?
Here.
Senator Danyate?
Here.
Senator Pazina? Chair Wynn.
Here, and if we can mark Senator Pacina present when she arrives. I know it is that time of year, so we are all running around, so please excuse us if you see us get up and leave. It's not what we're trying to be rude. I know that we have other bill presentations going on at the same time. Just to give people a lay of the land for the morning, I know we have an overflow room of 2134. So if there is not enough room in this room, please go to 2134. However, if you do choose to testify in support, opposition, or neutral, you will have to come down to this main room in order to do so. Also, we are going to start with Senate Bill 180, then we are going to go to Senate Bill 395, and then we will end with Senate Bill 355, and then we will conclude with our work session at the very end. So if there's anyone waiting here that realize they don't need to wait here any longer and they don't want to watch these hearings, I'll let you know that as well. See, I knew we cleared out some seats right away. And with that, I will open the hearing on Senate Bill 180 and call our presenters to the table. I see Senator Flores and his little entourage here, so go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Hello, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and esteemed colleagues. I am State Senator Edgar Flores, proudly representing Senate District 2. And on behalf of my constituents, I am here to present Senate Bill 180, along with our co-presenters who will have prepared a slide presentation and also will be going into some of the data and why this bill is important. But before I hand it over, and I do intend to be very brief with my remarks, I want to make sure that the committee is working off of the amendment and that you've all had an opportunity to review that. I also want to make sure and give everybody an opportunity in the room who is here either in support or opposition, that they know that we're working off of the amendment. That was important, and I want to start the conversation there. Prior to us engaging in this conversation, we've had an opportunity to engage with numerous folk who are in opposition, and they've indicated to us concerns, and we understand that we do not want to in any way impact small businesses without being very aware of what that means to them, right? We weren't making any of these decisions lightly. We took a lot of feedback from them, and we think that this amendment addresses most of their concerns. I will share that I personally have friends who are truckers and or operate small businesses, have a fleet of one, and it's two brothers, and I speak often with them. They are really close friends of mine, and I took this bill to them and I said, what do you think? They indicated to me that even with my original bill as written, that they felt that the majority, or better said, a lot of businesses were already captured that are in this space because they were at that threshold of 1.5 already or higher. That larger companies of 5 fleets or larger, that they were for sure at a threshold higher than that. However, we do understand that not all small businesses are at that level. And because of that, we felt that this amendment would help alleviate some of those concerns, and that we had a staggered approach and that we gave it time so that they can make the necessary adjustments as business owners. I myself am a business owner, so I understand any change, large or small, can be significantly difficult for us to implement if we don't give the businesses time to adapt. We believe that this will address that concern, and our slideshow presentation will go through why this is necessary, what we're talking about specifically, and then lastly, Madam Chair, if it's okay with you, at the conclusion of the presentation, I may be summoned back to my committee as there's ongoing hearings there, and I believe that my vice chair needs to swap places with me to come and present here. So if that's okay with you, right at the conclusion of the presentation, I'd like to be able to go back over there and send him here because he's right after me.
Of course.
Thank you. Please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jamie Cogburn, C-O-G-B-U-R-N, on behalf of the Nevada Justice Association. I'm going to talk as I just show some of the slides, but in essence, I will tell you, there are no small crashes when you're talking about large trucks. This is not a cab. This is not the vehicle you and I drive. These are large vehicles. Between 2011 and 2021, the number of fatal crashes have doubled in Nevada involving large vehicles. Nevada has the 13th highest rate of fatal large truck and bus crashes as of 2021. And the reality is inflation has increased. This is the limits set by the federal government are $750,000. Those limits have not changed for 40 years. So when you look at just basic inflation, our medical costs have gone up by about 15 times during that same period. Just inflation itself, $750,000 in 1985 is $2.1 million in today's dollars. And again, when you're talking about large vehicles, large tractor trailers, you're going to have significant medical bills because there are significant injuries. Medical cost comparison, 1980, the average per capita was $1,100. In today's dollars, it's $15,700 per CMS. When you get into the cost that small companies are going to have to bear, and there's no doubt there will be a cost increase. Trucking insurance makes up less than 5% of the operating cost of a trucking company. It's less than 10 cents per mile. Going from $750 to the new modified limit that we proposed of $1 million for the first step increases the insurance premium by about $1,000 per year per truck. So we're not looking at doubling. We're not looking at a 40% increase. We're talking about $1,000 per vehicle that is insured. And with that, Mrs. Brazier is going to walk through the bill a little bit.
For the record, Allison Brazier, Brasier, on behalf of Nevada Justice Association. The bill's pretty straightforward, but I just wanted to just walk through and then also walk through the amendment. So Section 2B specifies that this applies to vehicles over 26,000 pounds. So we're talking about the larger vehicles that are licensed to transport intrastate only freight. So that's large vehicles making deliveries within the state of Nevada. And like Senator Flores mentioned, the amended language allows for a step-up provision every 2 years, starting this January, where it would be increased to that $1 million threshold, and then every 2 years after that until we get to the 1.5 million. So there is, about 5 years for companies to get up to that 1.5 and to absorb those additional costs. I wanted to point out just some of the pictures that Mr. Cogburn showed. A lot of those were from a case that I handled where there was 8 passenger vehicles involved, a semi-truck on the 15 in Las Vegas. There was a total of $1 million in coverage to cover all 8 of those vehicles. The medical bills alone were over $1 million for the different drivers and passengers of those vehicles. So the current limits have been in place for 40 years. It's time to catch up with the times and modernize those limits so that we can account for the increased medical costs and acknowledge the large damages that do come along with these big truck crashes.
And Madam Chair, at this time, we are open for questions.
I guess I'll start with a question. You said that these limits have not changed in the last 40 years. Have there ever been attempts to readdress this at any time during those 40 years that you're aware of?
Jamie Cogburn for the record. There are other states, so the limits are governed by federal law. As we know, there's not much that happens in Congress anymore. So everybody goes to the states. There are other states currently working on this same initiative. New Jersey has passed the law now. They have limits of 1.5. But that's the only state that has actually done it. And again, involves intrastate, so only within the state itself.
Senator Buck, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. And mine's questions along the same line as Senator Wynn's. So since the state can't pass the interstate trucking insurance minimums, what is the rationale to target just local Nevadan intrastate companies?
Oh, go ahead.
Allison Brazier for the record. Like Mr. Cogburn said, if we wait for the federal government to change these limits, we might be waiting another 40, 80 years for it to get modernized. And the way that the approach that we're looking at is each state and state legislature decides what are the appropriate limits for passenger vehicles, for other types of vehicles that drive on their roadways. And so we're looking at, what do we need to do to protect Nevada? Because like Mr. Cogburn said in his presentation, Nevada has the 13th highest rate of fatal large truck crashes. And so it's something that we feel needs to be addressed, and whether other states feel that same urgency, I think we have to do something about it in Nevada.
And is that the same for Nevada and just Nevada companies that are in these accidents? And then how does the states around us compare that? I'm assuming that a lot of these trucking companies that are going across our strait, are they involved in any of these accidents?
Allison Brazier for the record. The statistic that we have is coming from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, so I don't believe it breaks out where the truck originated from, but it's crashes that happened on our roads in Nevada.
If I may, Chair, Jamie Carmen, on behalf of the Nevada Justice Association again. The other thing is when you're talking about interstate commerce and interstate, obviously the federal government controls, but those are much larger companies usually. So they voluntarily are already gotten higher coverage. For example, a Target, an Amazon, something like that. Usually it's the smaller intrastate that may not be to the level that is necessary considering the amount of medical costs and other things.
Did you have a follow-up, Senator Buck? Okay. Senator Pazina?
Thank you so much for the presentation. And Senator Flores, it would not be a day if I didn't get to see you present 3 times. Lucky today. So my question is, and Mr. Cogburn, you mentioned New Jersey, but what other states have raised the limit from 750,000?
Jamie Cogburn for the record. That is the only state currently. There are other bills being heard across the nation during their sessions now, but that is the only state that has actually passed one that we know of.
Senator Hansen?
Thanks, Madam Chair. So 49 other states are still at 750,000?
Jamie Cogburn for the record, that is correct.
Okay, so we'll be one of only, so it'll be 48 if we pass this at this amount?
Jamie Cogburn for the record, we would be a leader in that category.
Okay, now the question on, I actually have a question for legal too. What is the minimum insurance required for ordinary drivers in Nevada? If I remember right, it was 25,000 or something like that for insurance coverage? Okay, so there's thousands of wrecks in Nevada every year, and somehow we keep that minimum at, rock bottom so people can at least afford it. But here we're going to single out Nevada truckers exclusively, because they're still competing with the interstate guys that are coming through, and force them to double their insurance coverages, and yet expect them to remain competitive in that market. I don't know, just to me, it seems like a crazy carve-out where you're literally doubling the amount for a Nevada-only company while allowing their competitors to maintain the federal level of 750,000. How do you justify that and expect them to remain competitive against their interstate competitors?
Jamie Cogburn for the record. Again, they are intrastate. So the interstate companies already have higher limits. So a Walmart has hundreds of millions of dollars in coverage. But what we are concerned about, and there is no doubt it's going to raise costs, and it's a valid concern, which is why we work with stakeholders to stagger the step up. So we're talking about $1,000 increase on a premium, so about $15,000 to $16,000 for the premium for a year for a vehicle. We think that's a small cost when you're talking about significant injuries and damages and death. We just value lives ahead of everything else. I think.
Well, Okay, fair enough, but I don't, that kind of assumes that those of us that disagree with that and maintain for everybody else that drives automobiles, the 15 to 20,000 or whatever it is, that we don't appreciate lives. Believe me, I'm very concerned about all lives. I'm really concerned though that we're singling out one very unique group of people, that is truck driving companies basically that are only trucking in Nevada. And the idea of Walmart, yeah, Walmart's one of the giant, most big corporations in the world. So because they have deep pockets, they're also much more of a target from lawyers who go and sue people like them. But the other interstate companies, which are still a lot, are going to maintain the 750,000, give them a competitive advantage inside Nevada against Nevada companies. They're going to be forced to pay double what everybody else is to get the same, instead of 750,000, you're going to force them to have 100 or 1.5 million in coverage. And that gives them a substantial competitive disadvantage. And the argument, well, we think everybody on the road who gets in an accident should have those kind of coverages. That means everybody else that drives cars, because the bulk of the wrecks in Nevada, I don't believe, are strictly involving interstate or intrastate trucking companies. The percentage versus the million miles traveled probably is much greater among people like myself who don't drive big trucks, but who drive a regular pickup truck and have minimal insurance coverages. Do you guys actually have a breakdown as to how many of these accidents are caused by Nevada-based only companies? She mentioned no, but that's who we're targeting in this particular piece of legislation.
Madam Chair, through you to Senator Hansen. Senator Edgar Flores. Thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Edgar Flores, for the record. Senator Hansen, I guess the larger philosophical question that at least we pose to ourselves is, do we think 750,000 nationwide is sufficient to address the very serious situations that erupt when there is one of these incidences where there's a trailer involved and unfortunately we have 5 or 6 individuals that are injured, et cetera, et cetera. It's our position that 750,000 is not enough in general. However, as the Nevada State Legislature, we can only address what's within our jurisdictional lines. So then the next question we asked, if we have a lot of people from out of our state coming in and they're driving through our jurisdiction, are they over the 750,000 limit? And we believe the majority, if not all of them, yes, they are. So then the only question is, who are the only individuals that we can regulate that are within our state that are likely not within that 750,000? And even in that question, when we spoke with truckers, a lot of them told us they are at the 1.5 or higher already. But there are some that were being left out. So what we're saying is, what's the gold standard of trucks that are coming into the state, gold standard of small businesses that are in the state? And the gold standard for me, they're all well above that limit already. So we wanted to make sure that if we are going to implement anything, is that we make sure that these individuals come up and are at that same level. Because as it's been alluded to in conversation, unfortunately, when there is one of these accidents, it may get up there, upwards to the 1+ million. And we're concerned that the 750 just does not adequately address the amount of harm that will be involved. And then the only other point that I wanted to make, we were very sensitive to small businesses. And I agree with you that there may be a small business that it's one trucker. And like I said, I know it's 2 brothers. They move one truck up and down Southern Nevada. And even in that scenario, when it's just that one company, when I talked to them, they said, look, we're at that threshold for purposes of their own safety, of their own business. Because if anything happens to that truck, their whole business model shuts down because they have 1, maybe 2. And so they need to make sure that they can immediately have the coverage that they need so they can get back on the road to feed their families. So for purposes of their safety on the small business side, it's also a good practice. So I think it was one of those where we had to balance the two. And I think with this staggered approach, giving them to 2030 to be compliant, where we're talking about $1,000 more per year approximately to get them there, we think it was a reasonable approach. We're open, however, to work with this committee now and with the opposition if they think that we can still tweak it just a little bit more. But at the end of the day, the philosophical question of, is that sufficient coverage? We believe it's not. The majority of the industry is there. We just want to make sure that the folk that we're missing kind of raise the standard so that we're there.
I got it, and I appreciate that, but if in fact they're already doing it, well, then there's no need for the regulation. I also have to debate the point that the federal government is all terribly behind and can't keep up, and poking fun at the fact that they stay at 750,000, when by your own admissions, 49 other states have also apparently been failing to keep up and don't have the ability that we do to, be on the cutting edge. It indicates to me there really isn't that big of a problem at 750,000 if only Nevada, if we pass this, and New Jersey would then have that level of mandatory coverage. So if in fact you guys, all that are truck drivers out there, are already buying that, you shouldn't have any opposition to the bill because you're just doing what's already being done. But there's a lot of opposition to it because in fact it does have a substantial difference. And so anyway, thank you, Madam Chair, for indulging me on my discussion.
No problem. It sounds like we don't have any other questions, so if you need to go, Senator Flores, that would be great. I would, and this is my error, so I apologize to our committee staff. I did receive the PowerPoint, but I did not let my staff know, so if you could get that to them so they could get that as part of the record. Again, I apologize for that. I think that was lost in communication, but I will take full responsibility for that error. If we can start with testimony in support of Senate Bill 180, you can come to the table. Please remember to say your name and speak clearly, and begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Thomas Morley, ThomasMorley, representing Teamsters Local 631, and we are in support of this bill in an effort to save time. May I have everybody who is supporting from the Teamsters please stand up? And there we go.
That's the best kind of me too. Thank you. Do we have anyone in Las Vegas that wants to testify in support of Senate Bill 180? I don't see anyone at the table down there. If we can go to the phone lines and see if there's anyone to testify in support of Senate Bill 180.
If you'd like to testify in support on SB 180, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in support at this time.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to opposition testimony. If you are in opposition to Senate Bill 180, if you could come to the table and begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, I'm Paul Enos. I'm the CEO of the Nevada Trucking Association, and we are here today in opposition of Senate Bill 180. We do believe that the federal government really is the appropriate place to regulate minimum insurance. When they have looked at that back in 2014, they found, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration found that 99.7% of all claims were in that $750,000 level. Now, I grant you, that's an older data set, but that's the most recent one we have. The last time FMCSA looked at this was in 2022. And they said they couldn't find any comprehensive data to support a position to raise those. So we do agree that federally that is a better place to do it. When you look at the number of, am I all right?
I was just going to ask you a question, but I'll wait until you're done with your opposition.
When you look at the number of crashes that have occurred in Nevada from 2018 through February of this year, you have 5,702 truck crashes. Of those, about 30% were Nevada trucking companies, Nevada-based trucking companies. Out of those that were intrastate Nevada-based trucking companies, 7.38%. So 421 from the beginning of 2018 that were involved to the end of February of this year that were involved in crashes. So when I look at what we're trying to do and who we're impacting, in terms of the truck crashes, they are a very small part of the problem. So I don't think the crash data does indicate that these folks that we are targeting in this bill are an issue. Insurance costs and availability, that is a huge deal to my members. I have had members leave the business because they've had 30% insurance rate increases in a year. It's something that I think all Nevadans are feeling. We're feeling it even harder in the trucking industry. Nevada, I hate to say it, but we are a more litigious state than other states our size. There is a lot more litigation that goes on in Nevada compared to states like Nebraska and Utah and Oregon, which are similar in size. In 2023, 180,000 new civil lawsuits were filed. And you compare that to Oregon, 113,000. You compare that to Utah, 81,000. Nebraska, 62,000. So, it does increase insurance rates because we are in a litigious environment here. So, I don't disagree with that. I will say, if we do want to raise minimum insurance rates, that this should be something that happens at a federal level, that is the appropriate place, and it should be done on data. It shouldn't be an arbitrary increase that we just pick out of the air. So with that, I'll end my testimony. Thank you.
Would you be willing to answer a question from the committee?
Absolutely.
And that committee being me. Okay, wonderful. You had indicated that you thought it was appropriate for the federal government to set those limits, but in other areas, like including individual levels, the federal government doesn't set our rates. We choose to do that by a state, so I think that's in the purview of the state. Why do you think it's different that we should be
Madam Chair,
authority over to the federal government
Sure.
instead of taking care of it?
because trucking by nature is interstate. Interstate commerce, even though you may be an interstate company operating only in Nevada, typically the freight that you're going to be hauling is interstate. So Congress has taken the purview that they are there to regulate interstate trucking. And the points that Senator Hansen made are absolutely correct. You have a tremendous amount of trucking companies out there. 70% of the accidents in the state of Nevada are with interstate trucking companies that are not based here. So, that I think does put Nevada businesses at that competitive disadvantage, having to have a disparate insurance rate. So, because truckers deal with these invisible lines across the country, I do think that is the most appropriate place to regulate the industry.
Thank you. Go ahead, Senator Hansen.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Well, the elephant in the room, you might say, 1 in 3 billboards when I was driving down here had to do with attorneys telling one of which advertises exclusively for truck driving accidents. All the people in this room who drive an automobile, if you've been paying any attention to the cost of your auto insurance in the last few years, it's gone through the roof. And we're helping pay for all that billboard stuff. But a lot of that is clearly based on litigious. If we increase this to 1.5 million, that is simply dramatically expanding the size of the deep pocket that's available for a lawsuit. And that's the real goal, in my opinion. It's not public safety and saving everybody's lives, because if that was the case, we'd be changing the dollar amounts on the 90% of the people that drive on the road that are actually in regular automobiles, 15 or 25,000 or whatever the amount is. So the question I have is, has anybody done a study, because you mentioned significantly lower rates in other states, where they have some sort of cap on the percentage that an attorney can get in one of these types of lawsuits?
Through you, Madam Chair, to Senator Hansen, I'm not aware of any caps that are any contingency fee caps in those states. But I will say, in some of those other states, the tort environment is dramatically different. And I will also say Nevada's a state where local legal advertising, you mentioned those billboards, $223 million spent last year in the state of Nevada. And that's from ATRA, and I'll provide that information to the committee, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And I would just, I would say that I would take Senator Flores at his word that he was bringing this bill because he wants to protect citizens that are injured in accidents and not to line the pockets of anyone else, but to really address some of the increased medical costs that he had indicated in their presentation initially. So,
Madam Chair, I apologize for that, and I do withdraw that for Senator Flores. Some of the other people, specifically the Nevada Justice Association, I don't withdraw that.
like I said, I will take the senator. This is his bill. It was his presentation. I will take him at his word. And with that, I will move on to the next person to testify in opposition.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Madam Chair. Josh Griffin here on behalf of the Nevada Subcontractors Association, here in opposition to SB 180. Subcontractors, as I think you all know, are the small and medium businesses who are the heart and soul of the residential construction industry. They employ tens of thousands of Nevadans. And these are the companies that do the plumbing and the electrical work and the painting and the landscaping and all the things that go into building a home. For these Nevada businesses, commercial vehicle insurance is already quite high. Requiring motor carriers who transport freight to carry higher insurance coverage will not only make this insurance more expensive, it will make the cost of transporting goods and equipment all around Nevada more expensive. Just thinking a little bit about the conversation about Nevada taking the lead on an increase like this, it does be an interesting question and maybe something that we can talk about after the committee. What does that do to the insurance carriers? Or are the insurance carriers going to continue to provide levels of insurance? In some cases, the limitation of insurance carriers. I'm not saying that's what this bill does, but if that were an outcome, that also can increase those costs. These are increased costs for food, for goods, for housing, all things that are a loss for Nevadans. So that's why the subcontractors stand in opposition to this bill. Madam Chair, thank you. And members of the committee, thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Nguyen, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Nick Schneider, Director of Government Affairs for the Vegas Chamber. We're in opposition today to SB 180 as drafted. I do want to thank the bill sponsor very quickly. The amendment helps greatly with some of our members in the mining industry. We do appreciate the work that is being done to address those concerns, and we're still working on receiving feedback from some of our members regarding the amendment as a whole, and look forward to continuing those conversations. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. Leah Cartwright, LEACARTWRIGHT, here today in opposition to SB 180 on behalf of APCIA, the American Property Casualty Insurance Association, the primary national trade association for home, auto, and business insurers. They did submit a letter. It's online on Nellis, and just to ditto several of the points made by my colleagues earlier, SB 180 would require now intrastate truckers to carry more than twice the required insurance at the federal level. This would be difficult to find. It's not really written that way. You would likely have to have 2 policies to get to that amount. So it would just be more of a barrier for those who are looking to enter this kind of profession. And additionally, I think it was mentioned by my colleagues earlier, this would result in higher costs of goods because those costs get passed on to consumers. So keep an eye on that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Lucas Fletta for the Nevada State Tow Association. We are also in opposition to the bill for many of the reasons Mr. Enos and others have described. I wanted to address a couple of statements made by the presenters that I think are at best unsupported. I think the notion that Congress has done nothing or taken no action in this area is not exactly right. Over the last several years, there have been a number of pieces of legislation introduced by members of Congress to do this very thing, and in fact to increase the liability limit substantially more than are being proposed here. It's true that those bills haven't passed, but I don't think it's fair to characterize Congress as being subject to inaction on this point. It's apparently the fact that there's just not consensus on the policy change. I also think it's important to point out that with respect to intrastate, so-called intrastate commerce, I do think that's sort of a dubious proposition. It is a very different thing to exercise police power to require as a public safety measure a certain amount of insurance to be carried by a driver of a vehicle as a citizen who is licensed here than to require the movers of freight, which is business and commerce, to have that higher level of insurance. You learn in the first year of law school, it doesn't matter if all you're doing is moving something around inside the state or growing corn inside the state. It touches and concerns interstate commerce regardless, and that's what this does here. The other thing that I would say is that I think the assertion that somehow that insurance costs are only at most 5% of an operator's costs is not true based on the information I have from the operators that I work with. It's also, I think, kind of dubious to claim that larger insurance carriers and interstate carriers already have this level of insurance, so there's no problem there. Most carriers in the state already meet this threshold, so there's some small number of people who are going to have to come up to this level. That could be true, but I don't know what the source of those statements are, and so their validity is, I think, somewhat in question, and I think they're fairly convenient statements of fact, and at the very least should be looked into, and perhaps the sponsors can, or proponents can provide some data to support those statements. So thank you.
And I'm sorry, we did not catch your last name.
Yes.
Could you spell it for the record?
Foletta.
Afternoon, Madam Chair. For the record, Danny Thompson, THOMPSON. I'm here today as the co-owner of Snap Towing in Henderson. Our insurance costs are through the roof. I can't imagine, an increase now, that would have to be passed along to the consumer in an already tight market. And it's forcing a lot of companies to go self-insured and roll the dice and do that. And so we're opposed to the bill. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. For the record, I'm Doug Busselman. I'm the Executive Vice President of Nevada Farm Bureau. We're here today to express our opposition to SB 180. As we read the language of SB 180, our farmer and rancher members hauling their own products within the borders of Nevada would be required to have $1.5 million in liability insurance when their vehicles have a weight rating of 2,600 pounds or more. Because of our affiliation with an insurance company, we asked one of the agents who has a number of agricultural policies for more details of the consequences for this type of requirement. We were informed that all of the company's underlying policies have a maximum limit of $1 million per person and $1 million per accident. The insurance rates would depend on the radius and annual mileage, so the insured policyholder would have a variety of different costs. To get over the current maximum $1 million liability level, an additional policy would be needed to be purchased through an umbrella liability policy, which would increase all of the underlying policies for their autos, farm and ranch vehicles to the level that was required. The cost per vehicle from this person said is fairly minimal, $45 to $55 per vehicle per year. But the catch is that the umbrella policy has to include all the vehicles and all the property insurance owned by the insured. If the customer was only insuring the $1 million, but then needed to add an umbrella, depending on their farm or ranch operations, the number of vehicles, dwellings, and other numbers of acres of their operation could cost $2,000 to $5,000 per year. The response that we got back also noted that the $1.5 million level seemed like an unusual amount, since the underlying policies would have to be in a $1 million limit, and the umbrella policies are sold in $1 million increments. We do not see the good reason for the changes that SB 180 proposes to make, and we are opposed to the bill that would further burden our farmer and rancher members. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Mary Snyder, Snyder Livestock Company in Yerington, Nevada, an ag producer in this state for over 100 years. We're proud to be one of the centennial ranches in this state. I'm a fifth-generation native of this state. I encourage you guys to kill this bill. There is no way that farmers can continue to take the regulatory, the labor burdens, the cost burdens, and continue producing. I read a number today. In California, in the last few years, asparagus acreage has dropped from 30,000 acres to less than 1,000 acres. I reached out to a friend of mine who grows asparagus in the Central Valley, and he says, yes, that's true. We can't afford it anymore. If you want to protect Nevadans, you need to protect the Nevada businesses that employ the Nevada residents every day. And you need to start being a leader in that protection. If you want to be a leader in protecting what has made Nevada great for so many years. Thank you.
I'm Michael Baumbach, member of the Nevada State Tow Association, and I also represent Milne Towing and Cal Nevada Towing. I just want to reiterate that the proposed insurance limits are double what the federal requirements are. For our company's insurance is the second largest price or expense that we have to deal with. An increase in insurance is pretty massive. Carriers go out of business because insurance premiums increase. We talked to our insurance broker. We don't know what the specifics would be, but they estimate this would cause a 50% increase in insurance rates year over year, which is enough to put our business out of business. The step-up increase that they talk about still leads to a one-size-fits-all approach for the problems that they claim are occurring. At the end of the day, it's still going to lead to the $1.5 million after all the steps are completed, which isn't proportionate to the size of the carrier anyways. This is going to cause a pass-through of the charges to the Nevada consumer and to our consumers, which isn't going to help businesses in our area. It's going to end up stifling business. And I'd like to reiterate the point, too, that insurance isn't typically designed to have a policy for these amounts. That's why the insurance representative said that in order to meet this requirement, they're going to have a separate umbrella policy. So I would look into some of the accuracy of the information presented before you so we can make a more well-informed decision. Thank you.
I'm going to head down to Las Vegas. Is there anyone to testify in support or in opposition to this bill? I don't see anyone coming to the table, but I'll give someone an opportunity to go up to the table if you are here to testify in opposition to Senate Bill 180. Please begin when you're ready.
Hello, my name is Islena Giron, owner of the Giron Driving School Trucking in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm here to oppose against this new Bill 180 because if you raise the minimum of the insurance, being as a single owner of the driving school, I require $750. That is the minimum. So if we will go or raise the price to $1.5 million, is 50% off. So I will be out of business. So here I'm against this bill as a single owner of the driving school here at the state of Nevada, Las Vegas. My school teach how to drive students for Class A since 1989. So please have in consideration a small business as the Senator Hansen and the chair member, please have in consideration to kill this bill. It won't be in favor of a small business. Thank you. My name is Lena Giron. Thank you.
We can go to the phone lines now.
If you'd like to testify in opposition, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. Next, we'll turn to testimony in neutral. Do we have anyone in neutral? I don't see anyone coming to the table down here or in Las Vegas. No, the phone lines. Is there anyone to testify in neutral?
If you'd like to testify in neutral, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you. And with that, I will invite the bill sponsors back up to the table and make any closing remarks.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, Senator Edgar Flores for the record. I would like to let the committee know that we are still open to working with anybody who would like for us to consider any additional amendments. We have notified a lot of the opposition in the room today that we are willing to work with them. I think they've indicated that there is nothing that they would be comfortable with. But we are open to working with the committee and anybody in opposition to work with them. And then just Senator Hansen, I know the concerns that were raised were echoed by some of the folk in opposition. I just wanted to make it clear, unfortunately, when we're trying to regulate this area, insurance is the only way for us to address safety conversations. There's no other real way of us to engage in this arena without touching that subject matter, and we're sensitive to it because we realize that there's small businesses that are concerned. And then I don't want to minimize that, but when we have a safety conversation, the only way we can address it is by focusing on these policy limits. And as we previously indicated, unfortunately, when there is a fatal crash, when there is a very severe car accident involving one of these trucks, they're never small. And that's our biggest concern. But one of the things that I do ask, and that you should reach out to everybody in opposition, very few of them came in opposition, with the exception of 3 folk that I counted, saying that they are not, that their members are not at this cap. Like I said, a lot of the folk, and that's why we were so cautious with our number. We could have said, let's throw 5 million out there because it just sounds right. We think that 1.5 was fair, that it addresses a lot of the concerns and a lot of the level of damage, property and human, that occurs in one of these types of accidents. So we figured 1.5 is where we could get there. Besides that, we also looked at inflation. And at inflation, they said, how are we coming up with this number? At inflation, we'd be at a much higher number. But because we're cognizant and careful of small businesses, we wanted to make sure that we didn't just follow inflation, because we could have just sat here and that number would have made sense. We all understand how inflation works. But because we're trying to work with everybody, we're trying to hit that middle ground. I think this is where we landed. But we're open to continuing this dialogue with anybody on the committee or with anybody in opposition.
Thank you. And with that, we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 180. And at this time, I was going to say we're going to take a little 1-minute recess. Oh, actually, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Well, I feel bad. So if anyone was here for a work session, maybe you could run back. But we will go ahead and try to start a work session where we're waiting for some swapping of chairs and vice chairs. So at this time, I will open the work session and we will begin. I'll turn this over to our policy analyst, Julian King, to go ahead and walk through. We'll start with Senate Bill 80.
Thank you, Chair. For the record, Julian King, Policy Analyst with the Legislative Counsel Bureau. As nonpartisan staff, I cannot advocate for or against any measure that this committee may consider. Senate Bill 80 revises certain provisions governing motor vehicles, including those related to DMV employees with the powers of a peace officer, penalties for certain violations, and emissions control devices. The bill is sponsored by this committee on behalf of the DMV and was heard on February 26th. An amendment in conceptual form was proposed by Senator Nguyen that deletes sections 2, 3, and 5 of the bill. Thank you, Chair.
If next we can have you also address Senate Bill 181.
Thank you, Chair. Julian King, Committee Policy Analyst for the record. Senate Bill 181 requires the DMV, in cooperation with Nevada State University, to design, prepare, and issue special license plates that indicate support for the university. The bill is sponsored by Senator Cruz Crawford and was heard on February 19th. An amendment in conceptual form was proposed by Senator Cruz Crawford to remove the provisions related to appropriations.
If next we could go to 315.
She was a yes. She was just going to reserve. Julian King, Committee Policy Analyst for the record. Senate Bill 315 authorizes NDOT to enter into one or more progressive design-build contracts for improvements to I-80 East between Vista Boulevard and Sparks and USA Parkway in Story County. The bill is sponsored by Senator Daley and was heard on March 24th. An amendment was proposed by the Nevada chapter of the Association of General Contractors that requires that insurance requirements for applicants must not exceed the insurance requirements typically required in NDOT's standard professional services contracts for engineers, requires that requests for proposal and cost evaluation procedures must comply with NRS 625-530 relating to public works projects, specifies that provisions in NRS 338-155 relating to design professionals who are not members of design-build teams apply to contracts involving design professionals participating on a progressive design-build team that enters into a contract with NDOT, and raises from 15% to 30% the minimum required percentage of construction of the project to be performed by the prime contractor's workforce.
If next we can have you discuss Senate Bill 320.
Thank you, Chair. Julian King, Committee Policy Analyst for the record. Senate Bill 320 revises provisions related to sidewalks, crosswalks. The bill is sponsored by Senator Scheibel and was heard on March 19th. An amendment was proposed by Senator Scheibel to remove the exception that permits parking within 15 feet of a crosswalk when a curb extension is present, and to specify that local governments may establish different stopping, standing, or parking distances from crosswalks only if such distances are greater than the minimum distances set by the bill.
Just going to do these all at once. If we can go to Senate Bill 321 as well.
Julianne King, Committee Policy Analyst for the record. Senate Bill 321 aligns state civil penalties for violations of natural gas pipeline safety regulations adopted by the Public Utilities Commission of Nevada with those at the federal level. The bill is sponsored by Chair Nguyen and was heard on March 24th, and there are no amendments to this bill.
And to make it even more confusing, I'm going to have you go back up to Senate Bill 85.
Thank you, Chair. Julianne King, Committee Policy Analyst for the record. Senate Bill 85 makes permanent the requirements relating to the recording, retention, and reporting of information concerning traffic stops made by law enforcement officers. The bill is sponsored by this committee on behalf of the Joint Interim Standing Committee on Judiciary and was heard on February 26th. An amendment was proposed by the STOP team of the UNLV Kirk Kerkorian School of Medicine, and this amendment was presented during the bill hearing.
And finally, if we can talk about Senate Bill 91.
Thank you, Chair. Julianne King, Committee Policy Analyst for the record. Senate Bill 91 establishes provisions relating to the use of diacritical marks in certain government records. The bill is sponsored by Senator Dunyate and Assemblymember Gonzalez and was heard on February 19th. An amendment was proposed by Senator Dunyate, which replaces the current language of the bill with enabling language that is contingent upon federal authorization. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And if we can just give a quick round of applause to Ms. King. This was her very first work session ever, so I think she did a great job, especially since I had her moving around all over the place. I feel like it came across that way, but that was not my intention for sure. At this time, we are going to try to consolidate some of these, so I would accept a motion at this time as a part of a consent motion to amend and do pass both Senate Bill 181, 315, and 320.
So moved.
I have a motion by Senator Pacina and a second by Senator Hansen. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. And with this, I will assign Senate Bill 181, the floor statement, to Senator Cruz Crawford. I will assign the floor statement on Senate Bill 315 to Senator Daley, and I will assign Senate Bill 320 to Senator Scheibel. And next, that will bring us to Senate Bill 321. This is, I'm looking for a motion to do pass Senate Bill 321.
So moved.
I have a motion from Senator Pacina, a second from Senator Dunyate. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed say nay. It passes unanimously, and I will assign that floor statement to myself. Next, we'll move to Senate Bill 80. This is an agency bill, and I will accept a motion to amend and do pass Senate Bill 80.
So moved.
I have a motion from Senator Pacina, a second from, I'll give that to Senator Hansen. Do we have any discussion on this motion? I think you do.
Yes, thank you, Chair Nguyen. I'm going to be a yes today, however, want to reserve my right for the later on the floor.
Thank you, and I appreciate the heads up on that. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. Seeing no one, I will go ahead and give this to Senator Hansen, the floor statement.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And it passes unanimously with one reservation. Next, we can move to Senate Bill 85. Do I have a motion to amend and do pass Senate Bill 85?
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion from Senator Pacina, a second from Senator Dunyate. Do we have any discussion on this motion?
Thank you, Chair Nguyen. I will be a no today on this measure.
Okay. Any other further questions or discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, say nay. We have one nay from Senator Buck, and the motion carries. And I will assign this floor statement to Senator Scheibel. And finally, we will move to our last one, which is Senate Bill 91 on today's work session. Do I have a motion to move Senate Bill 91?
Is it amend and do pass?
Oh, I'm sorry, amend and do pass Senate Bill 91.
So moved.
I have a motion from Senator Pacina, a second from Senator Deniate. Do we have any discussion or questions about the amendment?
If it doesn't pass, do we have to call him Senator Donate?
I think you probably continue to call him by his given name.
Just double check.
Senator Buck, do you have any discussion or?
Yes, I'll be a no today, however, reserve my right to change on the floor.
Okay, thank you. With that, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. We have one nay from Senator Buck, but the motion carries. And I will sign that floor statement to Senator Doniate. And with that, that ends our work session. I'm hoping we have Senator Orenshaw. I see him here now. He doesn't know this, but we are starting with Senate Bill 395. I know that we have some people also in the overflow room in 2134. Again, when it does come time to give testimony, I would ask that you come over to our committee room here in 2144 to provide that testimony. And at this time, I will open the hearing on Senate Bill 395, if I haven't already said that, and go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Thank you very much, Chair Wynn. Members of the Senate Committee on Growth and Infrastructure, for the record, my name is James Orenshaw. I represent State Senate District 21 down in Southern Nevada. Very fortunate to have with me co-presenting. I've got Tom Morley to my left. I have Tommy Blish, who's Secretary Treasurer of Teamsters Local 631. I've also got Chris Griswold and Jason Gately, who will also be co-presenting, and I appreciate the Chair's indulgence. Nevada's long been a leader in autonomous vehicle innovation, and Nevada was one of the first states to authorize the testing and operation of autonomous vehicles on public roadways. Under our current law, fully self-driving vehicles can be tested and operated without a human operator inside the vehicle, provided certain safety standards are met. While this approach makes sense for smaller personal vehicles, our current framework does not distinguish between those smaller personal vehicles and larger, more complex vehicles, such as commercial trucks or passenger shuttles or buses. These larger vehicles present greater risks due to their size, weight, and occupancy levels. A system malfunction in a 4,000-pound sedan is not the same as one in a 30,000-pound autonomous freight truck or a shuttle that might be carrying 10 or 15 passengers. As autonomous technology expands to larger commercial vehicles and those carrying multiple passengers, new challenges and public safety concerns emerge. State Senate Bill 395 addresses these challenges by establishing requirements for the safe operation of such vehicles. Specifically, it requires that autonomous vehicles with a gross weight rating exceeding 26,000 pounds or those with more than 2 axles capable of transporting 8 or more passengers must have a trained human operator with a commercial driver's license on board. The operator must be able to take immediate manual control in case of an emergency or system failure. This safeguard reflects the increased safety responsibilities that come with operating larger or multi-passenger vehicles and ensures immediate human intervention is available when necessary. I'd like to go over the bill with your permission, Chair. Section 1 of the bill prohibits autonomous vehicles from operating on Nevada highways unless a human operator with a commercial driver's license is present under 2 circumstances: when the vehicle has a gross vehicle weight rating exceeding 26,000 pounds, or when the vehicle has more than 2 axles and is capable of transporting 8 or more passengers. In both cases, Section 1 requires the operator to be trained in how to operate and shut off the vehicle, capable of taking immediate manual control in the event of an emergency or system failure, and seated in a position that allows that human operator to act in an emergency situation. Section 2 establishes an effective date of this bill of October 1 of this year, and the bill provides for expiration on September 30th of 2035. This allows time for the state to monitor and evaluate the effectiveness of these safeguards. With your permission, Chair, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Morley, Mr. Blish, and Mr. Griswold, and Mr. Gately, and then I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you. Go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Madam Chair, if I may pass it on to Brother Blish.
Good afternoon, Chair Wen and members of the committee. My name is Tommy Blitch. I am the Teamsters Local 631 Secretary Treasurer and Principal Officer. Currently in the state of Nevada, we have 5 different Teamster local unions: Local 631, Local 14, Local 986, Local 2118, and Local 533. Teamsters of Nevada proudly represent 21,000 members and their families, including many who began their workday behind the wheel of a vehicle. Chairman Wen and members of the committee, thank you for your opportunity to testify. The International Brotherhood of Teamsters represents approximately 1.4 million hardworking people in the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico, including many in the state of Nevada. Like I said earlier, they start their day behind the steering wheel or directly interact with commercial motor vehicles as part of their job. I come before you today in strong support of SB 395 relating to autonomous vehicles. Today you'll hear from Teamster members and others who will express their concerns with allowing unfettered and barely regulated access to Nevada roadways for large autonomous vehicles. Additionally, the Teamsters would like to provide our insight from the federal perspective, which we believe clearly underscores the importance of the state of Nevada taking bold and meaningful action. In speaking with our members, elected officials, and the general public, we find that many hold the basic assumption that the federal government, at least to some degree, is regulating autonomous vehicles. As a result, many believe that state legislatures do not have to grapple with some of the bigger questions around testing and deployment of these vehicles. Unfortunately, this federal oversight is simply not taking place regarding autonomous vehicles of any size. As such, the federal government has failed Nevada and other states by both reserving certain safety authorities at the federal level while also failing to use them. The Teamster Union has continued to advocate for badly needed safety standards and oversight. At this time, ensuring safe operations of autonomous vehicles falls completely and totally on individual states. It is unfortunate that these are the circumstances we find ourselves in. However, as a result, it is incumbent on the legislature to act accordingly and to take steps which protect Nevadans instead of allowing states' roadways to become the Wild West test track for autonomous vehicles. While we understand that some may want to allow for the use of new technologies on our roadways, allowing unsafe autonomous commercial motor vehicles to operate in Nevada, it only invites unnecessary danger and risks to other drivers and pedestrians. SB 395 would ensure this does not become the case as additional developers and operators seek to deploy vehicles in the state of Nevada. I want to make something very clear to the committee that the Teamsters are not anti-technology. This is a union that started with, this is a union that started with drivers of teams of horses. It embraced massive technological change and shift to the motor vehicle at the turn of the last century. And we will be there for whatever the future of work looks like. Teamster members don't get to work behind a desk. Their workplace is on the road, and advancements in technology have made that workplace safer. However, there are also common sense guardrails that should be put up when it comes to how autonomous vehicles should be allowed to operate on roads next to unsuspecting families. We strongly believe that SB 395, authored by Senator Orenshaw, represents a common sense proposal which would alleviate many of the safety concerns that are shared by members of the Teamsters Union and the driving public. This proposal, which would require a human safety operator to be physically present in a motor vehicle weighing 26,000 pounds that is being tested or driven on Nevada's public roads, in a reasonable and necessary legislative solution. A human safety operator who is physically present in the cab of a vehicle can immediately respond and react in the event of a technological failure. Rather than having to wait for a technician to respond from the company operating the vehicle, a trained and properly licensed human safety operator can assess the situation and hopefully prevent a technological failure from becoming a public safety hazard. I urge the members of this committee to take seriously the concerns that have been raised by the working Nevadans and to realize that we have the opportunity with this bill to provide a common sense solution to a problem that is on the minds of many Nevadans professional drivers. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, for the record, Thomas Morley, THOMAS-MORLEY, representing Teamsters Local 631. Some bullet points and points of light would be, we would request that a human operator remain in all AVs regardless of what the Society of Automotive Engineers autonomous level is set by the feds. A human operator of an AV must remain subject to DOT commercial driver's license requirements, hours of service limitations, and all other protections that affix to non-autonomous CDL drivers. In operations, we would request safety and fitness electronic records listing include the amount of SAE level 4 and 5 vehicles in any use for one particular carrier, compliance, safety, accountability, safety, specifically and explicitly. Incident data involving on AV be separately categorized within the motor carrier management information system reporting. Carriers wishing to deploy AVs report where they're in use and in what function. And with that, I will close.
Chair Nguyen, I believe we have Mr. Griswold and Mr. Gately who also wanted to speak, and then I'm happy to stand for any questions with your permission.
No, perfect, that's fine. Could do some musical chairs. Go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Chair Nguyen and members of the committee. Thank you for your time on this matter. My name is Jason Gately. For the record, I serve as Secretary Treasurer of Teamsters Local 14 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Teamsters Local 14 in Las Vegas, Nevada represents over 5,100 members and their family, including many who begin their workday behind a wheel that are CDL drivers, whether it's school bus drivers or general delivery drivers throughout the Las Vegas Valley. Public polling has shown that the average American does not feel safe having a driverless vehicle sharing the roads with their families. In state after state, results show the drivers are uncomfortable with driverless compact cars, even more uncomfortable with driverless delivery vans, and excess of 80% are uncomfortable with driverless semi-trucks and tractor trailers. Real quick is that we represent over 1,500 school drivers for the fifth largest school district in the nation that transport our students through the fifth largest school district in the nation safely every day, in and out. And I asked the question, who here would put their child, one of our most prized possessions, on a bus without a driver? Thank you for your time.
Make sure you state your name before you speak as well.
I'm sorry.
And make sure you spell and speak your name before you speak as well.
Okay. For the record, my name is Jay Randazzo, R-A-N-D-A-Z-Z-O. Good afternoon, Chair Nguyen and the members of the committee. I serve as a business agent of Teamsters Local 14, as well as I am a current CDL holder. Teamsters Local 14 represents over 5,100 members, with the majority holding a CDL, which include Southern Glacier Wine and Spirits, Breakthrough Beverage, Pepsi, Reyes Coca-Cola, CCSD bus drivers, Brady Lennon, as the list goes on. The big tech companies pushing for the technology tell us that their vehicles are safe and they are improving quality of life. Yet in San Francisco, Los Angeles, and other cities where there is widespread deployment of driverless passenger vehicles, we have seen exactly what we all imagined would happen: gridlock, stalled vehicles, and accidents. There have been over 50 cases documented in which autonomous vehicles interfered with members of the San Francisco Fire Department while they were in process of responding to emergencies, including a case in which an AV collided with the fire engine that had its lights and sirens engaged, another in which an AV drove through an active fire scene and drove over fire hoses. I want to make something very clear to the committee. The Teamsters are not anti-technology. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for your indulgence, Chair. I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Okay, wonderful. I see someone else at the table. Are you here to testify in support, or are you part of the presentation?
Testify.
Okay, I'll just have you sit back for a second. We're going to go through any questions that we have with the bill, and then there'll be an opportunity to testify in support. I like people that are excited about being a part of the legislative process, so I will call the people. If you need to, pass the baton behind you for other people to answer, feel free to go ahead and do that. And we will begin with questions from the committee. Do we have any questions from the committee about this bill? Okay, go ahead, Senator Buck.
Thank you, Chair Nguyen, and thank you, Senator Orenshaw, for bringing this bill. So I'm wondering, how many other states regulate this in this way?
Through you, James Orenshaw, State Senate District 21, through you, Chair Nguyen, to Senator Buck.
Feel free to go direct.
Oh, thank you. Was looking at National Conference of State Legislature websites. Many states have passed regulations. I don't have the exact number in front of me as to regulations like this. I don't have that answer right now as to, I believe it's, unfortunately, I don't have that answer, but certainly many states have passed different varying laws of different characters. But in terms of this requirement, and what I feel like we've tried to do, and with Mr. Morley's help and Mr. Blish trying to work with stakeholders, is to try to narrowly tailor this. So this doesn't prohibit a passenger car from being fully autonomous. DMV says it's okay to be on the roads, then that's the current state of the law. It doesn't prohibit a taxi or a ride share from being fully autonomous. We've tried to limit this to where I believe there's the most danger to the public, to trucks 26,000 pounds or more, or these shuttles that have 2 axles and are capable of carrying 8 or more passengers. So I feel like we've narrowly tailored it, and we set an expiration date that in 2035, September 30th, this will go away. And the way technology is moving now with nano computing, it could be that in 2035, things have gotten so advanced that, there isn't this fear, and the testing has happened, and we've seen that this is as safe as we hope it will be. But for now, I think putting a little brake on this to have a little more human backup if there's an emergency, I think is prudent of us as policymakers. And certainly if in 10 years the technology is advanced to a point where we feel, hey, this isn't needed anymore, that we see how good this is, then this does expire in 10 years.
Yeah, if I could do a follow-up. So I think of autonomous vehicles as driverless, right? I know that there was some testing period in that, but so why even call them autonomous vehicles if you're going to have a driver in there?
And through you, Chair Nguyen, to Senator Buck, James Orenshaw, State Senate District 21, because here, this bill, Senate Bill 395, it passes, that human operator will be there for backup. So it will still be an autonomous vehicle, but they'll be there if something malfunctions. And, I'm hoping that as technology goes the next 5 or 10 years, these cars will be so good that there won't be any malfunctions. And we won't get the little hourglass on our computer or server failed or anything like that. And that'll be something that's just unheard of. But between now and then, I think it's good policy to have that human operator that can take control. Certainly, I think a lot of our airplanes, pilots use autopilot, but we have that human pilot there. And this, I think, follows in that same vein.
Do you have any further questions, Senator Brown? Okay. I have a couple of questions. You had talked about the weight. In your bill, it talks about the weight. And I know a lot of these companies that have come and invested a great deal in our state to bring these autonomous vehicle things, and most of them are smaller vehicles. But I have been on enough of them to see that most of them are EVs. And the reality is an EV is really, really heavy. So the weight limits that you had indicated in your bill, was there any reason, were they similar to traditional like trucking, or did they have any, I have a Ford F-150 union made here. It's a, personal vehicle, but it's an EV and it weighs almost like 6,700 pounds. So I'm wondering where the weight came up with and how that was determined to make its way in this bill.
Thank you, James Orenshaw, State Senate District 21. And here I might phone a friend with one of my experts here from either Teamsters, but certainly the analysis I've done is that 26,000 pounds, the intent was to try to exclude box trucks, to capture the large tractor trailers, those kind of vehicles of transport, but to exclude the vans that go out for Amazon, to exclude the FedEx box trucks, the UPS box trucks, to not have this bill cover those, to cover the very large vehicles. As to the question about the new electrically charged trucks, I don't have an answer to that. I'm not sure if maybe as to them weighing more, I'm not sure if anyone else does, but I can certainly try to do a little research on that. That I don't have an answer to, Chair.
Madam Chair, if I may, I'm not sure what the weight of one of those EV trucks weighs. However, national DOT, federal DOT requires a CDL after 26,000 pounds, and we just decided to mirror what the feds had already established.
I kind of figured that's what it was, but I was just curious. I was thinking about the weight of my own vehicle, and I was wondering if some of these more, I guess, personal vehicles might get wrapped up into this inadvertently because of the weight of these batteries. So I was curious to see if there were any considerations. Like I said, I have no idea how heavy some of these vehicles are. I know that there are some currently operating that can fit like, I think, 6 to 8 people in them that are operating on our streets, I believe. So I don't know if they have those same kind of weights or they're in that area that might be covered. I see some knocking. So if you do come up to the table and you have some information on that, I think it would be helpful as well. Do we have any other questions from the committee? Seeing none, we will go ahead, unless you have, go ahead.
Oh, James Orchel, Senate 21 Chair. Just wanted to clarify that 26,000 pound trigger applies to the trucks, the gross vehicle weights, which would mostly be the trucks, not to the passenger shuttles, the 8 or more passenger shuttles with the 2 axles. Thanks.
Go ahead.
Unless you have a lot of luggage.
To reiterate, what Mr. Morley had said is we base the weight on the requirement for CDL for commercial drivers. The intent of this is not to affect your Ford F-150, because obviously you're in the truck. This is to just be transparent, big, trucks that are pulling 1, 2, 3 trailers down 2-lane highways, from Las Vegas to Nevada with no human being in the vehicle.
I might,
And-
this spurred another, go ahead and finish your thought.
And by the way, my name's Tommy Blitch,
Oh.
BLITSCH.
Thank you. I should be better at catching that, so I appreciate you catching it yourself, or if Senator Earnshaw helped you. I appreciate that as well. This did spur another question. You mentioned during your presentation, I know it came up a couple of times, about concerns about stalling out vehicles in other places or interference with emergency vehicles in some other jurisdictions where they have some fully autonomous vehicles. Are those fully autonomous vehicles passenger vehicles, or were those vehicles like you're seeking to have these protections placed on? I don't know.
James Orchel, Senate 21. Unfortunately, I don't have that information. I've tried to find it, and maybe some other presenter has that and get it to the committee, but unless someone else has that who spoke earlier.
They're the commercial variety.
Name.
Tommy Blitch with Teamsters 631. They are of the commercial variety, Chair.
Okay. So there are autonomous, like, trucks that are currently
Yes.
on the roads? And what jurisdictions allow for those trucks to be on the road?
Our neighbors to the west, California.
Okay. Is that the only jurisdiction that currently allows for it?
I couldn't give you specifics on that. There are other states that, yes.
I have some additional questions. I know that since I've been in the legislature, I've heard different variations of protections and things that we put in place around autonomous vehicles as they are moving towards full autonomy, I guess, even with our passenger vehicles. I know a lot of times people will point to like self-driving Teslas, but it's still against the law, at least in our state, to allow your Tesla to drive you. You have to still be in the vehicle and you have to be in the driver's seat and in control. And so I know there are protections. Were there any thoughts about putting further protections in the law around commercial vehicles?
James Ornschall, Senate 21. Well, certainly the protections in Senate Bill 395, I think with the backup human operator are, what I think, at least if the legislature decides to pass this, if the governor signs it, would ensure safety for the next 10 years with these very large vehicles. So certainly that's the policy that I'd like to see enacted, and I hope to see enacted, and I think would protect our constituents, professional drivers on the road. Are there other options? There certainly could be, and I certainly have tried to listen to anyone who's had concerns about the bill.
I guess my question is do you not have the same concerns about our passenger type cars that are on the roads, operating in that space? Because I know we put a great deal, it's come up every single legislative session I've been here, where we've put protections, we've further defined that scope, given predictability to companies that want to engage in autonomous vehicles on our roadways, to make sure that we don't have some of the problems that they've experienced with our neighbors to the west. So I'm curious to see, I guess that's some of my questions is, could we have added protections as we're moving towards vehicles that are bigger, I guess, in nature?
And James Ornschall, Senate 21, thank you for the question, Chair. Here with Senate Bill 395, I was trying to strike a balance of the very large cars where I feel like there is absolutely the most danger. I personally tend to be a worrywart, and, I might think that, for every vehicle, this is a good idea to have a human backup. But here, I'm trying to narrowly tailor this bill to where I think there's the most danger to public safety.
I mean, obviously, we saw some pictures in the previous presentation about the severe damage that happens with these big semi-trucks and how, they're potentially more devastating in nature if they do get into an accident as opposed to like a passenger vehicle. So I understand the distinction. So thank you. Do we have any other questions? I don't think so. Thank you. And thank you for indulging me with some of those additional ones that kind of popped into my head as you guys were getting ready to step away. So at this time, we will open up testimony in support. Again, I know that we have quite a few people in the overflow room. You would have to come over here to 2144 if you would like to testify. We can fill in these chairs. If you are here to testify in support in Las Vegas, if you could go ahead and fill in those seats as well. And we will start here in Carson City, so go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Thank you. For the record, my name is Ross Kinson, Kinson, and I'm the president of the Northern Nevada Central Labor Council, and I'm also with Teamsters Local 533 in the north. And essentially, I'm here to speak unapologetically in support of Senate Bill 395. Ultimately, I think the stakes are too high to not do something in this space. Like it was said multiple times throughout the presentation, this bill is not anti-technology. However, it is pro-reality and it is pro-safety, and ultimately it's pro-worker, right? And those are three things that as a Teamsters representative, I fight for every single day. Autonomous vehicles may be the future. However, that future must include trained professionals. In the cab, when we're talking about 40-ton rigs barreling down our highways or vehicles transporting our neighbors and our kids. These are simply stakes that are too high to ignore. Again, I think it's very important that we take a long and hard look, and I think that SB 395 answers some of those questions moving into the future about how we protect our public. Ultimately, if you're going to put that kind of weight and risk on the road, a qualified driver should be behind the wheel. It's just common sense. It's not obstruction, it's responsibility. And let me be blunt, without this bill, we're opening the door to pure chaos. We have seen that to the west, to our neighbors in the west. There has been a lot of instances that we can point to where autonomous vehicles do not know what they're doing, and ultimately our fire crews and our police crews are not able to get in and take care of the situation, and folks end up dying because autonomous vehicles just don't know what they're doing. Ultimately, this bill draws a line, and it draws it with clarity. Technology can evolve, but it doesn't get to steamroll our workers or endanger the public. So for those reasons and those reasons alone, I urge you to support 395, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Tony Freitas, Freitas, Teamsters Local 14 Vice President. I'm here in support of the bill. I've heard a common theme today in a previous presentation for small business owners and safety for Nevada residents. Driverless vehicles and autonomous vehicles, they're not Nevadan, and they don't keep our residents safe. Nevada likes to be known for a lot of things, and I don't think we want to be known for the first state to allow an autonomous vehicle to kill a resident here. So please support the bill.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, committee members, Todd Inglesby, President of the Professional Fires Nevada. We obviously support this bill. Anything that has to do with public safety, we try to take pride in because we're sworn to protect the citizens and the millions of guests that come to our great state, and we're proud to do that. Based on the size of these vehicles, the mechanism of injury is very high and very dangerous. Because of that mechanism of injury, these are life-threatening injuries and accidents that we're talking about here. And so we support this bill, and thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Wayne and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Susie Martinez, and I am the Executive Secretary Treasurer of the Nevada State AFL-CIO. And on behalf of over 120 unions and 150,000 members, we are in full support of the bill, and I applaud my Senator Orenshaw for bringing this important legislation forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair and Committee. My name is Andrew Rivas, R-I-V-A-S. I am a political organizer with Teamsters 533. I know there were a couple questions asked earlier that I actually have the answers to. The autonomous vehicles that shut down were passenger vehicles in California. I've talked to other political reps in the union in Oakland, San Francisco, Sacramento. Had the opportunity to speak to our senators and representatives in Congress about similar initiatives that we're pursuing federally. Those vehicles shut down mainly because they are running off of cell networks. So when they lose signal, they shut down. One of the most, I guess, prolific events was after a concert. Cabs all around the venue shut down. The company said it was because everybody's trying to get on Instagram to upload all of their pictures and videos and sucked up all the bandwidth. The other thing I would say is most autonomous vehicles are going to be electric. It is just the nature of an electric vehicle, the way they are designed. They have a much better electric infrastructure that helps support all the cameras, sensors, all of that that are required. Just last August, we had an electric semi at Immigrant Pass shut down I-80 after it crashed with a human operator. I don't have the details on that, but it shut down I-80 for 15 hours while the truck continued to burn because of the electrical damage to each cell. It took 50,000 gallons of water and 12 hours for the fire to die down enough that they could remove the batteries from the vehicle, and still had to watch them for another 24 hours to make sure they didn't catch fire again. So when we say this is about public safety, this is paramount, especially in Nevada, especially California, where we have problems with wildfires. If we have an electric semi that crashes out by McGill on 93, you're talking about trying to send fire response from Jackpot, Wendover, and Ely in what is essentially a giant 50-plus mile long wind cannon, like wind tunnel. So I would encourage the committee to pass this bill. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Francisco Miranda, business agent with Teamsters Local 631. I'm here in support of SB 395. At the end of the day, our drivers, our Teamsters are professional drivers. They're the captain of that ship. They're able to make judgment in a split second if that's somebody pulled over on the side of the road, or it's an emergency situation where they shouldn't proceed. And like you heard in past testimony, there were instances where these things are blowing through fire hoses, going into active scenes, and our professional drivers would be able to distinguish anything of that nature real quick. And that's why I urge the committee to support SB 395. Thank you.
Good afternoon, committee. My name is Beverly Williams. I'm with Teamsters Local 986. When we asked the big tech companies to explain how their automated vehicles would respond in emergency situations, all they had to say was that their vehicles would achieve minimal risk, which generally means stopping when they are stopping where they are, or at best pulling to the side of the road. As a professional driver would tell you, simply stopping where you are is not sufficient in mitigating risk or in keeping the driving public safe. We urge you to listen to our constituency or your constituencies in Nevada and to be in support of SB 395. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman Nguyen and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today. My name is Amy Gately. I am a member from Local 14, and I come here before to you to strong support SB 395 relating to automated vehicles. Sorry, I'm Mexican, so we're here to support Bill SB 395. Thank you.
Can you go ahead and spell your name? And if you have a name that perhaps our staff is trying to get everyone's names out, so if you do have business cards or you do have other indications with your name, if you can provide those to committee staff too, is helpful.
Good afternoon, Chair Nguyen and members of the committee. My name is Tamara Jameson, and I am with Teamsters Local 14. I am also a business agent as well, and I cover the bus drivers and transportations for CCSD. It is very difficult to listen to the bill that is being, the 395, having the autonomous vehicles, having a driverless driver to sit in place of a human body. Imagine you're a child on a bus that has been trained, a member of that employment have been trained, went through a significant amount of training to keep the kiddos safe on the road, being replaced without having a human body there in case of any emergencies that may take place. It is very sad that it would be that way. So I am asking if you guys would please, I am in support of this Bill 395, that you would take that in consideration. We don't want our children to be on a bus being transported without having a human body there in case of an emergency. Thank you very much. And my last name is Jamison.
Thank you. Go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon. My name is Lana McGuire, MCGUIRE, and I'm a member of Teamsters 14. And I too agree with the sentiment of my fellow Teamster members. We strongly urge you to support Senate Bill 395. Thank you.
Sorry, I saw you taking pictures, so I'll send it to you. It's like the mom in me, I can't stop. Do we have any other people to testify in support of Senate Bill 395? I don't see anyone here. Do we have anyone in Las Vegas there to testify in support of Senate Bill 375 or 395? I can't. Is there someone at that table? I can't. Not yet. Okay, sorry. Man, my eyes are getting bad, you guys. Okay, with that, we will go to the phone lines for testimony in support.
If you'd like to testify in support on Senate Bill 395, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue.
Aloha, good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Maria Teresa Hank, that's Hank, and I am a union member of TW Local 556, and I strongly urge the committee to support SB 395. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller, please.
Good afternoon, Chair and committee members. For the record, my name is Gabe Christensen, Christenson. I urge you to support SB 395. Just look how much technology has issues on a day-to-day basis. In the best case scenario with autonomous vehicles, there's utter chaos with them blocking roadways. And at the worst case scenario, there's fatalities involved. We need to have a person behind the wheel to take over. This can be used as an aid to professional drivers, but we really need a person behind the wheel. Thank you.
Thank you. Next caller.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Clarissa Principe, Clarissa, Principe, Principe, and I am a union member of Transport Workers Union Local 577. I strongly urge the committee to support SB 395.
Thank you. We can go to our next caller.
Good evening, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Linda Ward Smith. For the record, that's spelled LINDAWARD-SMITH, and I am a proud union member for the American Federation of Government Employees, and I am calling in full support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other callers on the line in support?
Yes, Chair, we have one more caller.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Gary Watson, Watson. I'm the principal officer of Teamsters Local 533 in Northern Nevada. I strongly urge the committee to support Senate Bill 395. Thank you.
Still the last caller?
We have one more caller, Chair.
Oh, look at that. It's like auto-populating. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Liz Sorensen, LIZSORENSON. I'm the president of Nevada State AFL-CIO. I am in strong support of SB 395, and I urge this committee to do the same. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next caller.
Chair, there are no more callers in support at this time.
Okay. At this time, I will close support testimony and we will move on to opposition testimony. If there's anyone to testify in opposition, I ask you to come up to the table right now. Begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair Nguyen and committee members. Ed Garcia, GAR, CIA, for the record. Here today representing the autonomous vehicle company Motional. As most of you know, Motional is has a long-standing presence in Nevada. They have been testing and operating in Nevada since 2016. I'd first like to thank Senator Orenshaw for his openness in discussing his bill. Unfortunately, we weren't able to resolve the issues that we had, and we must come to the table here today in opposition to his bill. The reason Motional chose to locate and invest in Nevada is because of this state's forward-thinking approach and hospitable regulatory environment. Nevada was one of the first states in the nation to authorize autonomous technology testing and development, and this legislature's vision has successfully positioned the state as a nationally recognized hub for autonomous vehicle innovation. Motional has several hundred employees in Nevada. They've invested tens of millions of dollars in Nevada. They have hundreds of employees in Nevada. And most recently, they invested over $20 million in the Las Vegas Speedway for to allow increased testing. This bill threatens to undermine Nevada's longstanding leadership position in this world of autonomous vehicles and would be a significant step backward from the progress we've made. The state's history of embracing transportation and technology investments has fostered economic growth, and this bill jeopardizes that progress. In the interest of brevity, I would like to address the question posed by Senator Buck earlier that I can answer the question of how many places this bill's been enacted in other states in this country. Absolutely zero. And it's not as if this hasn't been proposed. It's been proposed in multiple states, but this bill has been enacted in absolutely zero other states. It has been, in fact, most recently, it's been vetoed by Governor Newsom twice in California. So these are driverless bills. Maybe they didn't have a sunset. Maybe there was other technical differences, but these were to require a driver in for trucking companies. That's what they were intended to do. Now, a lot of folks have said, well, why is Motional care? Why is Motional interested in these? Because, we're just addressing trucking. The reason I went through what Motional has done in the state is to show you what does it say about to Motional when they've invested in the state, and this would be the first state in the country to impose this restriction on autonomous vehicles. I don't think this is a place where Nevada wants to be the leader in the nation, be the first in the nation in adopting this, especially not in this time. So SB 395 would reflect a concerning departure from the welcoming rational AV policies that initially drew Motional to Nevada. This measure creates uncertainty for the industry and risks future investment in Nevada. With that, thank you for your time.
Mr. Garcia, I know Mr. Senator Hansen has some questions. Would you be willing to answer those questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. We just had a hearing on a bill where we're going to double insurance rates for truck drivers because they're unsafe, apparently. We're having lots of accidents in Nevada. And there is a safety factor, and I'm highly sympathetic to the concerns about truck drivers losing jobs as this technology goes forward. The question I've got on the safety side, though, and that is I assume you guys have to have some pretty substantial insurances for any kind of vehicle that's on an actual roadway. What are the policies you guys are required to have? And have there actually been any accidents, since you're mainly focused in Nevada, with these autonomous vehicles? They mentioned in the Bay Area there were problems with them interfering with emergency services and so forth. Is there actually, but nobody has mentioned any actual fatalities, but they did mention, several thousand fatalities over time with the types of drivers we have now. I'm just kind of like, okay, if we're worried about safety on the one hand and we're going to make insurances go way up because of drivers, committing accidents, what is the policy for an autonomous vehicle currently, and how many accidents have there been involving human fatalities or even serious human injuries?
If I might, Madam Chair, Ed Garcia for the record. Thank you, Senator Hansen. I can't speak as to the large trucking because obviously my company is concerned with passenger vehicles. I can tell you that in a lot of the discussions, this came up with the TNCs earlier in the session because they were talking about their liability limits. I can tell you ours being AV companies far exceed anything, and that's this body put that in place several years ago, recognizing that this was a unique technology. And I don't quote me on the number, but I believe it's something like 3 times the amount the normal human drivers are required to have in their vehicles. As for again, I can only speak to the passenger vehicles. But the passenger vehicles, we've driven millions upon millions upon millions of miles. And those of you who are familiar in Las Vegas have seen these cars all over. They were the BMWs, now they're the Ioniqs. I can tell you that we've never had a fatality. We've never, in fact, and I verified this before, speaking for our company, we've never had a major injury, nor have we had a major accident where there's been fender benders and things, obviously, and so those things will happen. But usually those are human drivers rear-ending the autonomous vehicle.
Okay, that's what I'm kind of getting at. It seems like you guys are actually substantially safer. I mean, the whole technology honestly scares me, the whole AI world and everything. I mean, the world's changing a lot very rapidly. And so But my impression is the more we go to autonomous stuff, the safer things have become, not less safe. So anyway, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Sometimes it starts. Thank you for being willing to answer those questions. If you can go ahead and begin again with opposition testimony.
Good afternoon, Chair Nguyen and members of the committee. Thank you for the opportunity to testify. For the record, my name is William Horne, Horne, with Western Public Affairs, representing TechNet. TechNet is a national bipartisan network of technology CEOs and senior executives that promotes the growth of the innovation economy. Today, we will have to respectfully oppose Senate Bill 395. Autonomous trucking technology offers critical benefits that Nevada should embrace rather than restrict. By reducing human error, such as fatigue and distraction, autonomous trucks can make our roads safer. These vehicles also help alleviate supply chain bottlenecks by running around the clock, delivering essential goods to rural areas more reliably. Moreover, studies by the United States Department of Transportation indicate that autonomous trucking can create higher skilled jobs, from technicians to remote support operators, rather than eliminating positions. Right now, the rest of the country is rapidly advancing in autonomous vehicle deployment, and a ban would jeopardize Nevada's standing as a leader in this innovation. For these reasons, I respectfully urge you to oppose Senate Bill 395. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Enos.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. For the record, I'm Paul Enos. I'm the CEO of the Nevada Trucking Association, and we're here today in opposition to Senate Bill 395. I just want to make one quick point of clarification on the 26,000 pounds. So federal law recognizes 26,000 pounds as up to 26,000 pounds where you have to have a Class B driver's license. 26,001 pounds, you then go to a Class C. So there's different regulations between that 1 pound that may not mean anything, but I've now seen it in the two bills. So just for point of clarification, this I think is inconsistent with federal law and how we usually define it. That said, I am not unsympathetic to our drivers. Our drivers are our best assets. You know, we absolutely rely on them. They have a tremendous amount of skill, and we don't see this technology as something that's going to necessarily replace drivers. We see this really as a technology that is going to enhance safety and save lives. You know, when I think about some of the federal law that exists where driver is required to be in the truck in case it stops to put out safety triangles, that is still in federal law. They had an opportunity to change that. It wasn't changed. So a driver is still going to need to be in the cab. When you think about a truck that is designed to stop when there's an obstacle in front of it, we have a $35 billion annual issue in our American supply chain with cargo theft. How are you going to do that without a person? So I do think that there are some operational things and some federal regulatory things that are going to protect the drivers. That said, I was really proud when Nevada was the first state in the country to have the Freightliner Inspiration truck. And we have seen other states take that number one status away from us in this automated area, Ohio, Texas, Arizona. So, you know, I do think that this would really put Nevada at the back of the pack instead of the front. And that's another thing that concerns us is when you're dealing with interstate commerce, having Nevada as that one state where you have to do something differently, I do think is a challenge. We would not be looking at this technology if it did not save lives, if it wasn't about safety. And when you look at NTSB saying human errors are a factor in 94% of all traffic accidents, that's a really substantial number. When you think about the number of people that could be saved if we had this technology widespread, that's the same number of people, almost the same number of people that die a year from breast cancer, which would be an absolutely phenomenal thing if we were to cure that. So I look at this technology not as something that's going to be less safe. It's something that is going to be employed and deployed to improve safety. And so I would hate to see a bill like this stifle that moving forward here in the Silver State. Thank you.
Go ahead and begin.
Madam Chair and committee, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to speak.
For the record, my name is Laura Nowlin, Lauranowlan. I've been in the staffing industry for the last 18 years in Las Vegas, Nevada, and the way I'm looking at it is based on workforce. We already have an issue with workforce. We do not want to be like we are with education so low as a state. I think that being more of a leader in technology and in AI is the best way for our state to move forward. So I am here to oppose this bill, SB 395. I don't think it's a good direction for us. It really is going to slow us down. If you're saying the bill is good till September of 2035, 10 years. Oh my God, AI, we've already changed really rapidly. This is going to really put us really bad, in a bad area as a state. So please consider not passing this bill. Thank you.
Wiz Rizard, Deputy State Director with American for Prosperity here in Nevada, and that's spelled WIZROUZARD. On behalf of American for Prosperity Nevada, we urge you to oppose Senate Bill 395. I'll start off by saying I was in Arizona and I got a chance to experience the Waymo vehicles that are autonomous, no driver, and it was pretty cool. It whipped a U-turn and its sensors actually picked up a car that was crossing in the intersection about to run the red light. I couldn't have figured that out, but the algorithm system did. I also had the privilege to attend a conference where I actually reluctantly spoke to the bill sponsor who helped pass that bill. And he gave me some great insights. Since Waymo has been in Arizona, their accident ratio has been tremendous. Actually, they outperform drivers right now. Also, insurance costs throughout the state has been a lot more mitigated because they're having these vehicles out in the roadways. But in terms of our organization, we find that autonomous vehicles is the future. There's no going around that. And we look forward to ensuring that Nevada is not a state where investments is actually looking at our state and saying, nope, we want investments to come in and create great quality jobs. And if you look back at the history of the switchboard operators, there was a lot of fear in regards to those transitions as technology started emerging. But they also found that about the 2% workforce that it did account for actually transitioned pretty smoothly to more qualified jobs. And we believe that this type of technology is going to ensure that in the state of Nevada. And then lastly, in terms of the framework, we do ask that, we want to work with the bill sponsor in ensuring that we adopt a more free market, hands-off approach. Regulation should be advanced cautiously, if at all. It is necessary for autonomous vehicle manufacturers to enjoy the greatest flexibility possible, especially in the early years of development. The U.S. approach to automobile safety has often taken this approach, allowing manufacturers to self-certify so long as their vehicles meet certain minimum requirements. Some of these requirements, like having a steering wheel, might be outdated, but the overall approach is desirable. So rather than trying to anticipate or dictate the technology, transportation regulators should provide non-binding regulatory guidelines, including relying on those developed by industry itself in lieu of mandatory and prescriptive requirements. And if we create that environment, as you heard here earlier, we're going to see Nevada flourish in diversifying our economy and making sure that we are one of the leading states when it comes to autonomous vehicle and not one that people object to. So we urge you to oppose Senate Bill 395 as it is currently written, and we're willing to work with the bill sponsor to bring more regulatory sandbox type of apparatuses that will welcome technology and ensure that we strike that balance between safety and technology that we were unsure about. So greatly appreciate your time. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair Nguyen, members of the committee. My name is Robert Singleton. I'm the Senior Director of Policy and Public Affairs at Chamber of Progress. We are a tech industry association supporting public policies to build a more inclusive society in which all people benefit from technological advancements. I'm unfortunately here today in respectful opposition to Senate Bill 395, which would effectively ban the use of autonomous trucks in Nevada. We are strong supporters of autonomous trucking as an important solution to the growing demand for timely shipping of agricultural goods and products. Across the country, the trucking industry has experienced extreme turnover and widespread job vacancies, resulting in significant delays in product shipments, rising prices for basic necessities. Though exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic, retention has always been an issue in trucking for decades. The American Trucking Association reports an annual turnover rate close to 90% and projects that the nationwide shortage of truckers will double to over 160,000 job vacancies by 2030. Autonomous vehicles offer a solution to help fill the gap left by a strained labor market and high demand for timely shipping. The crisis facing the trucking industry hasn't just resulted in delayed shipments, but also higher prices for consumers. Beyond this, autonomous trucks can also reduce long-term environmental costs from pollution. While trucks represent only 6% of the vehicles on the road, they produce over 35% of the emissions and transportation-generated nitrous oxide and 25% of the on-road greenhouse gas emissions. Since autonomous vehicles can be programmed to optimize their routes and follow traffic rules and speeds, autonomous trucks will ultimately use energy more efficiently. This technology could be instrumental in achieving Nevada's goal to reduce emissions by 45% by 2030. Mandating a human driver for autonomous trucking is a step backward, hindering the progress of a technology that has potential to revolutionize transportation. Requiring a human driver undermines the efficiency and safety advantages of AVs while increasing operational costs and limiting their widespread deployment. SB 395 would effectively stall the deployment of this technology designed to improve fuel efficiency, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and strengthen supply chain resiliency, causing Nevada to miss out on its full benefits. So for these reasons, we urge you to oppose 395. And one last thing, just on the safety piece of this, it's been proven time and time again that humans have difficulty multitasking, focusing on more than one input at once. Computers do not suffer from this fallback. Additionally, you only have two eyes, and they face the same direction. Autonomous vehicles have eyes facing in many different directions, and they can see well beyond the visible spectrum and react much quicker than you can.
Good afternoon, Chair Wynn, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Nick Schneider, Director of Government Affairs for the Vegas Chamber. For the sake of brevity, I'll go ahead and just echo the comments of those who've testified before me. We share the concerns about this being a hindrance to innovation within the autonomous vehicle space. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. Joe Hill, Policy Analyst for the Retail Association of Nevada. For the sake of time, we would also like to echo comments made in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to go to Las Vegas. If there's anyone to testify in opposition, I'd ask you to come up to the table. Seeing no one getting up, I will go to the phone lines for testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 395.
If you'd like to testify in opposition, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon, Chair Wynn and committee members. My name is Larry Coombs, that's C-O-O-M-S, and I'm the Senior Operations Lead at Wabi, an autonomous trucking developer. We currently operate in lanes in Texas, but we have plans to expand domestically. I'm here today in opposition to SB 395. In my 32-year career, I've spent 13 of those as a truck driver, and I now transitioned to leading autonomous vehicle fleet operations. I know the safety challenges that drivers face because I've lived them. I also know the Silver State because I grew up in your district, Chair Wynn, at the corners of Pinwood and Arville, where a trucker named Mr. O took me off the streets and taught me grit and the value of hard work and the importance of safety and accountability. And safety is exactly why I believe in this technology. Human error is behind 90% of truck-related crashes, often from fatigue, distraction, or impairment. Autonomous trucks don't get tired, they don't text, and they don't drive under the influence. They follow traffic laws precisely, every mile, every time. States that support AV development can expect to see fewer collisions and more efficient freight movement. Deployment is coming soon. Our trucks operate with layered redundancies and undergo safe and rigorous testing to handle the complexities of the real world. SB 395 would make Nevada the only state in the U.S. to adopt a law that singles out autonomous trucks and prohibits the driverless deployment. The technology is already being tested safely, and deployment is coming really soon. I urge you to oppose the bills so Nevada doesn't miss out on the safety, the workforce, and the economic benefits autonomous trucking can deliver. For those reasons, I urge the committee to vote against this harmful legislation, and thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you. If we can go to our next caller.
Caller with the last 3 digits 583, please press star 6 to unmute yourself.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Renee Gibson, spelled Reneegibson, and I'm the Director of Government Affairs with the Autonomous Vehicle Industry Association, which consists of the world's leading AV companies that are testing this technology across the country. Thank you for the opportunity to testify today in opposition to SB 395. In Nevada alone, over 400 traffic fatalities occurred last year, and traffic deaths are up more than 16% in the state in the first 2 months of 2025. This reflects a pattern of increasingly unsafe driving that is occurring in Nevada and across the country, and this is an unacceptable status quo. Now is the time for Nevada to support roadway safety solutions like autonomous vehicles. AVs have built a significant safety record through more than a dozen years of development and deployment, with the VIA members having driven more than 70 million autonomous miles on public roads. This safety record is supported by data collected by the federal government, which requires AVs to report incidents, no matter how minor or who caused the incident. Unfortunately, SB 395 would jeopardize the future of AVs in Nevada. In effect, the bill would ban heavy-duty AVs by requiring a human observer in these vehicles. AV companies cannot scale their technologies with these restrictions. As a result, this bill would all but guarantee that the AV trucking industry cannot bring this life-saving technology to Nevada at scale. For more than a decade, Nevada has supported autonomous vehicles under a legal framework that establishes robust guardrails for AV operations, while enabling companies to invest in the state and deploy their technology here. Now, 24 other states have joined Nevada in allowing driverless AV deployment, and no state has banned driverless operations. By adopting this bill, Nevada would become an outlier and would effectively foreclose a safer future with autonomous trucks. For these reasons, we respectfully strongly oppose SB 395.
Chair, there are no more callers in opposition at this time. My apologies.
Thank you. If we'll go to neutral testimony, if there's anyone to testify in neutral, I don't see anyone here or in Las Vegas. Is there anyone on the phone lines to testify in neutral?
Testify in neutral, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Perfect. I will invite our bill sponsor and any of his co-presenters up to the table to make any closing remarks.
Good evening, Chair Wynn, members of the Senate Committee on Growth and Infrastructure, James Orchel, Senate 21. Thank you for your indulgence. I know the hour's late. Thank you for hearing Senate Bill 395. Chair, I believe safety and innovation can be hand in hand. And I believe that Senate Bill 395 strikes that balance with allowing for safety in this brave new world that we're entering with autonomous vehicles and allow for innovation. I believe that it really, puts safety first and does not compromise the growth of this technology. Thank you, Chair.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, for the record, Thomas Morley, THOMAS, MORLEY, representing Teamsters Local 631. We did some research earlier this morning, and Pew Research has done some polling nationwide. At 80% of folks that were polled do not support driverless vehicles.
Chairman and committee, I appreciate the opportunity to testify today, and I look forward to continuing to work with the committee on these matters going forward. This is Tommy Blitz with Teamsters 631. This bill is about labor. It absolutely is about labor. This bill is about safety. It is absolutely about safety. This bill is about labor and safety in Nevada. I don't care what Gavin Newsom did in California. We're not California. We are Nevada. And our bill is here, maybe it's getting confused. We're not trying to ban AI usage in Nevada. It seems like some of the testimony is like we're trying to ban. No, we're just saying somebody needs to be behind the wheel of these vehicles in a commercial setting, in a big rig, not in a Waymo on the strip or those other little contraptions they have on the Las Vegas strip that are being created. But this is about safety. I started at UPS in 1992. I know some things about trucking companies. I know some things about big tech companies. This labor that we're talking about are people's jobs. People who live in Nevada, these are their jobs. Hundreds and thousands of truck drivers' jobs are at risk because of autonomous vehicles. And these members have come to us and they're going to their politicians because in some of these situations, there may not be something else for them to do at the end of the day. Some of these may be truck drivers who are closer to retirement than the age of 18 to go to school to learn a new trade. So yes, I am testifying today, and I testified on behalf of the safety of Nevadans, being a 48-year Nevadan. I'm testifying on behalf of labor, and I am testifying on behalf of truck drivers. And I am trying to protect the state of Nevada and the people in it. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. And with that, I will close Senate Bill 395. I'm going to have Senator Orenshaw just stay put. And I will open the hearing on Senate Bill 355 and go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Thank you very much, Chair Nguyen, members of the Senate Committee on Growth and Infrastructure. James Orenshaw, State Senate District 21, here to present Senate Bill 355. There is an amendment on Nellis, and I would ask the committee to look at the amendment that is on Nellis. I'm pleased to present Senate Bill 355 today, which concerns tax abatements for renewable energy facilities that incorporate agrivoltaic or ecovoltaic systems. As many of you already know, agrivoltaics is a dual-use land system that combines solar energy production with agricultural operations on that same piece of land. This allows for activities such as livestock grazing, crop cultivation, and beekeeping beneath solar panels, creating a symbiotic relationship where both energy and food production benefit. Solar panels provide shade that can reduce water requirements for some plants and offers protection at times for livestock and farm workers, while the vegetation beneath helps lower panel temperatures, increasing their efficiency. Similarly, ecovoltaics integrate conservation efforts with solar panel installations supporting activities like native species conservation, soil improvement, brownfield remediation, and the fostering of pollinator habitats. Because agrivoltaic and ecovoltaic systems contribute to environmental sustainability and biodiversity while enabling renewable energy production, I believe it's in the state's best interest to incentivize the use of these systems. This is where Senate Bill 355 comes in. This bill would exempt renewable energy facilities that dedicate at least 36% of their total land area to agrivoltaic or ecovoltaic practices, or a combination of the two, from certain economic requirements in order to qualify for partial tax abatements of the local sales use and property taxes. Currently, renewable energy facilities may qualify for partial tax abatements if they can demonstrate that their financial benefit to the state exceeds the loss of tax revenue from the abatement and the facility is consistent with the state plan for economic development. Additionally, a renewable energy facility's application for partial tax abatements must typically be approved by the Board of County Commissioners in the county where the facility is located. And Chair, with your permission, I've got Mr. DeLee, Michael DeLee in Las Vegas, and I'd like to ask him to walk us through the amendment. And then I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Perfect. Go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. For the record, Michael DeLee, D-E, capital L-E-E. It's an honor to co-present here with Senator Orenshaw. He always has the best bills and the very progressive thinking, and this is no exception. We've had some concerns expressed regarding slight difference in the definition between this definition of agrivoltaics and one in another bill that's making through the legislature, which is also a very good bill. To address those concerns, the amendment does try to harmonize the definition, so it should be the same now in the amendment that you have in front of you as in AB 479. There is a little bit of a concern that we have in the back of our minds regarding the definition of beekeeping as being clearly part of what we want to see in either agrivoltaics or ecovoltaics. That is in the concern generally around the country, and we want to make sure that that's not lost. So as it moves forward in this bill and any other bill, we want to make sure that that is included as a use for agrivoltaics in one form or another. Another change, there's been some concerns coming to us from the counties, and we're very sensitive to that. As you probably recall, Senator Orenshaw did have a bill last session which addressed some of the concerns that 701A was not sensitive enough to counties' needs, and we anticipated a rollback, which as yet hasn't materialized completely, but this was to try to actually get in front of that. One of the other elements of that was a timing element, which as you'll see there on, it's line 40 on page 5. Under existing law, it was 30 days from the time the director notifies the county for the counties to respond. And certainly in some of the more rural areas where county commissioners can and do and should defer to local communities and their input, to get a notice from the state and then respond back with appropriate input from local communities within 30 days just isn't feasible. So we're proposing to make that a 90-day response so that that can be the maximum amount of input from local communities. Similarly, we've put in the next page, sorry, looking at the screen here, that the Board of County Commissioners are the ones that will determine whether the appropriate percentages have been met. And these percentages, we've been asked before, where do they come from? We're working with some of the folks in industry that actually are doing agrivoltaic projects. And it's been their position that somewhere between 30 and 40% is their baseline. But we don't have a lot of engineering data to go because this is relatively new in the US. It's not new at all in Asia and not new at all in Europe. We're playing a little bit of catch up for that. I can go into other questions as we go to the bill itself, but those are the amendments we have.
Thank you, Chair. I'm happy to stand for any questions. James Orenshaw, Senate 21. Sorry.
Thank you. No, I just want to make sure everyone has access to that amendment that was uploaded into Nellis. I think Senator Buck has some questions.
Thank you, Chair Wynn. Mr. DeLee, I was just wondering, what is your interest in the bill?
To Chair Wynn, to Senator Buck, thank you very much.
Feel free to go direct.
Okay, thank you. I'm a strong supporter of renewable energy. Probably remember all the way back to 2009 in the electric bikes bill. So any form of alternative and renewable energy, it's appealing to me to be involved with. And it's been an honor to work with a lot of the folks in the community on this. So getting agrivoltaics as to be a recognized part in Nevada is important. And I've gone to different parts of the world, including meeting with they don't call it agrivoltaics in Japan, they call it solar sharing. The coordinators in Tokyo on that issue, it's very important there, and touring places in China to see this develop. I have some farming property of my own, part of my family, my brother and I work, and we're also quite intimately involved in solar, and we see how these are usually diametrically opposed to one another. So in other parts of the world, in other parts of the US, land is coming out of farming production and going into solar energy production. We feel it's a mistake, that the right way to do this is to actually combine the two so that you get a benefit of the infrastructure that's brought in, which is considerable for solar development, and use higher value crops, which could include things like automation and take advantage of the crop canopy temperatures to actually lower temperature where the solar panels are, increase their efficiency. So with my own personal experience in being part of solar development as well as part of farming, it was somewhat natural to be a champion of getting this to be recognized in Nevada as it is elsewhere in the country, but to have Nevada be a leader in this area.
If I may, Chair. So would this project pass this abatement process, or what is so special about this project that you're trying to circumvent the process, essentially kind of picking winners and losers and just kind of circumventing the process? So what is so special about it?
James Orenshaw, State Senate, District 21, through you, Chair Wynn, to Senator Buck. Certainly, Senate Bill 355, if it passes with the amendment, I believe it'll promote agrivoltaics and ecovoltaics, which is a combination of being able to harvest the power of the sun, solar energy, clean energy that doesn't have the carbon footprint of fossil fuel energy, but also allow for cultivated land, crops, livestock grazing, beekeeping, or ecovoltaics, where we try not to harm the natural environment and not to disturb undisturbed lands. So I believe that the two can be in harmony, and this would promote that. And that's what I believe is my intent with Senate Bill 355.
I like the end all goal, but why not just go through the process? That's why there's the process, the abatement process. So that way it's truly vetted and.
James Orenshaw, Senate 21, through you, Chair Wynn, to Senator Buck. Certainly, I feel with the amendment, I've responded to some of the concerns of local government in terms of trying to have the county commissioners be the guardrail to make sure that that number is met as to how much of the project is agrivoltaic. And certainly, I believe here that this is an incentive. It incentivizes the development of these projects, which I think benefit everyone, and they're good for the environment. They're good for, clean, renewable energy.
Do we have any other questions? Thank you. I don't think we have any other questions at this time. I'll have you step back, and if there's anyone to testify in support of Senate Bill 355, please come to the table. I'm not seeing anyone here or in Las Vegas. If we can go to the phone lines, is there anyone to testify in support of Senate Bill 355?
To testify in support on SB 355, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in support at this time.
Thank you. At this time, we will move to testimony in opposition of Senate Bill 355. If I can ask you to come to the table, that would be wonderful. Begin when you're ready. And again, if you can please clearly state your name for the record and spell it, that would be most appreciated.
Good evening, Chair. For the record, my name is Vincent Guthrow. The last name is spelled G-U-T-H-R-E-A-U. I'm the Executive Director of the Nevada Association of Counties, or NACO. We represent collective interests for all 17 Nevada's counties. I want to first thank the sponsor. He did meet with us and always has an open door policy on issues that affect individuals for the legislation that he's introducing. So I really appreciate the chance to meet. I haven't had a full opportunity to digest this amendment. Got it just recently. I still think we have some issues. While there is an expansion of the response time, which I think would help smaller jurisdictions, it also limits what we can respond to. So I think we are still opposed for a variety of reasons. It limits public input, county oversight. It does circumvent the process, and I think we'll continue to have some conversations around some of the language in this amendment. So we really appreciate it. But right now, NACO is opposed to this bill. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Taylor Allison, last name Allison, on behalf of Lyon County. We do appreciate Senator Orenshaw's efforts to return the county commission to the decision-making process. However, we're going to have to continue in opposition. While we're not opposed to ecovoltaics or agrivoltaics, we believe that local oversight by the county commissioners is essential in evaluating siting and impacts of solar projects, including those that incorporate agrivoltaics and ecovoltaics. The BLM Western Solar Plan identifies almost 40% of the BLM managed land in Lyon County now eligible for solar applications. It's imperative that local governments retain authority to assess how these projects align with local land use priorities and engage with the applicants to address community needs, such as the preservation of critical natural resources and the customs, culture, and economy of our region, as well as the mitigation of natural hazards such as wildfire prevention and stormwater drainage. So thank you for your time.
Chair, members of the committee, my name is Mark Fiorentino. It's Fiorentino with the law firm of Kempfer Crow. We represent Nye County. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. I want to echo Senator Orenshaw has always had an open door policy. He did take the time to meet with us and listen to our concerns. Unfortunately, the proposed amendment doesn't address the heart of our concerns. I think the testimony was that what we were trying to do here is to make agrivoltaics a recognized part of renewable energy facilities, something that we should be considering. To be clear, Nye County doesn't object to that concept, But this bill goes far beyond making them part of the recognized facilities. It specifically exempts those types of facilities from a finding that the financial benefit of the project exceeds the loss in tax revenue. So under the current statutory scheme, if you're a renewable energy project in a rural county like Nye County, the state has to make a finding that the financial benefits outweigh the loss in revenue, and the county commissioners get the opportunity to make that same finding. This bill takes that finding away at both levels. With respect to the amendment, with all due respect, it does not address that concern. The amendment now just says the county commissioners can keep control over the decision on whether the projects are 36% agrivoltaic. It still takes away our authority and the state's authority to determine whether they make financial sense. So unfortunately, we too remain opposed, but happy if we can find some compromise that doesn't take away that authority of the counties to protect themselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in Las Vegas to testify in opposition? If you are at the table, go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Dr. Asha Tribble, spelled Tribble, with Arc Dome Strategies, and I represent Eureka County. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. We are testifying in opposition to this bill as we cannot support a bill that eliminates county input in development that directly affects the county. Additionally, Eureka County has concerns that there appears to be several loopholes in this bill that could allow for gaming agrovoltaics and ecovoltaics, while not actually being integrated into the agricultural or ecological benefits. We are now aware of the amendment that may address some of these concerns. However, we cannot support AB 355 until the said issues are resolved. Thank you.
It doesn't look like we have anyone else at the table in Las Vegas, so if we can go to the phone lines for testimony in opposition.
To testify in opposition on SB 355, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you. And if we can go to neutral testimony, do we have anyone to testify in neutral? I don't see anyone here or in Las Vegas. Is there anyone on the phone lines in neutral?
To testify in neutral, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue. Chair, there are no callers in neutral at this time.
Thank you. And that we will bring you back up. Do you have any closing statements to make?
Chair Wynn, members of the committee, James Orenshaw, State Senate District 21. Thank you for hearing Senate Bill 355. I think the effort towards agrivoltaics and ecovoltaics has the chance to make Nevada a leader in harmonious coexistence of solar energy production with agriculture, with livestock raising, with beekeeping, and with sustainable environmental policy. Certainly willing to keep talking to all the stakeholders and see if I can address their concerns. Certainly had hoped I had with the amendment, but I still want to keep working with them. Thank you for hearing the bill.
Thank you. And that we will close the hearing on Senate Bill 355. I will thank our committee for being so patient as we move into the last agenda item, which is public comment. If you are here to testify for public comment, please come up to the table. I don't see anyone here or in, oh, wait, we do. Great. If there's anyone in Las Vegas to testify in public comment, I'll just ask you to fill in those chairs up at the front and go ahead and begin when you're ready here in Carson City.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Troy Arias, Troyarias. I am the president of the Automotive Services Alliance of Nevada and owner of AADMV Services in Las Vegas. I'm here today to ask of this committee to give SB 243 a hearing. This bill will codify us into Nevada law and the ability for our registration services company to continue to provide services to customers, including the most vulnerable. I represent over 140 companies in Nevada currently operating legally for decades. I'm a second-generation business owner. My parents started in 2001. In 2015, my dad passed, and my brother and I took over the company. We were able to retire my mom, and we're extremely dedicated to provide high-quality service to all consumers and are proud of the communities we serve and represent. Please consider giving SB 243 a hearing. We went by earlier, passing out bullet points that support our bill, our position. So please, it's our livelihoods. 140 companies depend on me being here and the future of our industry. Thank you very much.
I see some people at the table in Las Vegas. Go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and the committee. Thank you for your time. My name is Christy Baldessar. I am the owner and operator of Dun & Dun DMV Service. I've been doing it for 13 years now. There is 3 of us, and we're family owned and operated. I am born and raised in Las Vegas. I love this town, and I love the opportunity that I have to give back to my community. We are a no-nonsense service. We take this responsibility very seriously. We have a revolving door of regular customers who love the service that we provide. They are thankful and they share their positive experience with their family. I would strongly encourage you to hold a hearing for SB 243, and this is the Senate of Growth, and I encourage growth. So thank you for your time.
I think there's there you go. Go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Hi, thank you. My name is Denise Bittner. I am representing B&L DMV Services and Nevada Tax and Titles. We have been in business for over 26 years serving this community. What all of the services do is assist in helping customers who have difficult times going to the DMV or just understanding the paperwork or anything else. Basically, though, we service the whole community. What we do actually assists truckers and any other business that has a fleet of vehicles. And so we strongly urge you to hear our bill, SB 243. Thank you.
Madam Chair and members of the committee, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is John Koutsulis, John Koutsulis, and I started my DMV registration service over 24 years ago, serving essentially all of Nevada, but primarily the Las Vegas and Henderson neighborhoods. I am partnered up with the largest dealerships in the state to include AutoNation, the Finley Group, the Godin Group, the Tobin family of stores, and also Carnelli Way. I also have a retail office that enjoys residual business from my successful 24 years servicing amazing clients. I believe by hearing and passing SB 243 would be one of the most successful bills to ever go through legislation. You would have the residents, your constituents, your voters, happy that they can continue to utilize this amazing convenience and free up much needed time that every individual and family needs during these times that seems to rob us of our precious free time. No one forces our customers to use our services, but they choose to bypass going to a DMV office to enjoy personal and professional services. This isn't like getting your car towed and you are forced to deal with a company to retrieve your car. This is a choice of convenience. We can all go out to our local grocer and purchase lunch meat and some bread and make our own sandwiches, but many times we make the choice to visit a retailer like Jimmy John's, Jersey Mike's, and Jason's Deli for someone to make our sandwich for us. We pay a price for that convenience, but we're happy to pay that price for the convenience. If we didn't like the sandwich or service, we can choose not to go back to the establishment. Our DMV services is exactly the same concept as that sandwich shop and convenience. It's been said that taking away technicians from the window to service our industry only backs up the general public servicing. We actually prove more efficient since the work that we bring to the DMV is all the proper paperwork filled out and ready to go. No running to the car, stalling the technician, or needing to go book another appointment because we don't have all the documents needed for that specific transaction. One step further, if we are given the ability similar to what AAA can do to process registrations and titles, we now become a force multiplier for the state for virtually no cost to the state at all. The new rapid registration still requires a technician to process work sent to the DMV and an appointment by the client to pick up completed paperwork. So in reality, the DMV is still processing the same amount of jobs with the same number of technicians. But from what I can tell, now longer transaction times. Trying to book an appointment online still takes about a month to get in. Meanwhile, your DRS expires and late fees accrue. With this bill passed, the state now has a professional force ready to cut down those wait times and make the residents of our state happy with the DMV and the decision to include us as a part of the team. In closing, thank you again for your time and opportunity, and I welcome to meet with anyone that would like to discuss this further. Thank you.
My name is Gary Baldessar. I'm the owner of a small computer company. My main clientele are the people in my generation. And as I talk with my customers, I get this fear that they're not going to be able to navigate the new system that the DMV is trying to put in place right now. We're all aware of what needs to be done and accomplished, and many of the people that I work with and support don't have the knowledge, the capability, or the inclination to be able to use the new systems that you're trying to put in place on them. Having the third-party DMVs makes it incredibly easy for them to work with, and they have them be able to keep their cars available and within the law and regulations of the state. Thank you.
I'm sorry, could you spell your name for the record? Our committee staff didn't quite get that.
I apologize. Gary, Gary, Baldessar, B as in boy, Aldasarre.
Thank you so much.
Hello, my name is Joshua King. I'm the owner of DMV Snap in Henderson, Nevada. I've been doing this for about 2 years, although I was exposed to the industry over a decade ago. What I can say is the public at large is extremely grateful for the service that we do provide. And in my first look at SB 243, I see it as sort of a win-win for not only the DMV, but for the services as well, being able to process plates and other transactions within our offices is going to take that workload away from the DMV, enabling them to serve more of the public at large and just opening up options for Nevadans in general. So I think it's definitely worth the hearing. I think that Nevadans in general would definitely be in support of it. So, thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Miriam Jimenez, Miriam Jimenez. I have owned Rapid Insurance, a third-party DMV service, for 13 years. Currently, I have 6 employees. My business is woman-owned, minority-owned, and family-owned. The reason I'm here is to petition for a hearing of Bill SB 243. I believe this bill is great of importance to our community for many small businesses like myself. Throughout the years, we have complied with various state petitions, such as proper licensing, background checks, and obtaining bonds. We have become licensed and insured, bonded, and we are well qualified. The approval of a bill like this would help us continue to serve the Las Vegas community with completion of DMV services, as well as continue to maintain our small businesses afloat. Respectfully, I ask the committee to grant a hearing for Bill SB 243, as the future of my business depends on it. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Daniela Coronado, DANIELA I own my DMV service company that women and minority own. I hope to grow my business in the future years, and so I ask this committee to support a hearing for Bill SB 243. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and committee members. My name is Jennifer Wills, WILLS, and I am owner of My Car Lady. I have a registration service that I feel has great value in our community. My household is also multi-generational, so this business not only supports my family, but my parents as well. I also have 2 employees who work for me, and this business supports their families as well. We have several residual customers who appreciate our service, and right now with everybody's changes in lifestyles and how busy they are, they don't have time to go to DMV, especially in Nevada where people have varying schedules and different times and different work schedules, as that's common in our community. Our goal here is to give people back some of their precious time, so we strongly encourage a hearing for Bill SB 243. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Sherry Williamson, and I am here on behalf of Dun & Dun DMZ Service. And I am also here to support Bill SB 243, as a lot of families and people in the community rely on our services. Thank you.
My name is Daniel Carrillo Giordano, and I am in support of SB 243.
Hello, my name is Carolyn Barragato. I work for Dun & Dun DMV Services, and I am here to support SB 243. It is an essential need in a 24-hour city that we live in. A lot of people rely on us, all of our services. And so I do support this. Thank you.
I'm sorry, could you go ahead and spell your name for the record?
Oh, sorry.
No, that's
gonna do
okay.
that. Barragato. My last name is Carolyn Barragato, Barragato.
Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Evgeny Shakirov. It's EVGUENY, last name SHAKIROV. I'm a small business owner. I own mobile DMV service company for almost 5 years now and worked in this industry for 10 years. I represent my business and other 100+ businesses across Nevada. I'm asking this committee to please have a hearing for Senate Bill 243 because the future of my business and other businesses like myself depend on it. This is an absolutely crucial bill for a lot of businesses. A lot of Nevadans use third-party DMV services. I also want to say big thank you to the governor's office for support for our industry through these difficult times. Our families and current livelihood will be severely impacted if this bill fails. We really need your support. Since our American dream depends on this bill, our industry helps tens of thousands of Nevadans to deal with DMV and to skip the DMV visit. And I fully support it. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Abigail Diaz. I'm owner of Liberty VIP Services. I've been in business for 12 years. And I just want to take the opportunity to, that I support SB 243, just because it's giving me the opportunity as a single mom to provide for my children. Not only that, I'm able to provide jobs for employees, and I'm able to provide for the community and give them different options to be able to give them the option to select whether they want to use my service or go directly to the DMV and conduct their transaction. So I fully support SB 243. Thank you.
And I'm sorry, could you spell your name also for the record?
DIAZ.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else to testify in public comment? Oh, yep. Go ahead and keep on filling in those chairs if you're here to testify in public comment down in Las Vegas.
Thank you for this opportunity. I'm the owner of Huron Driving School, driving instructor. Also, I support the bill 243 to give us the opportunity to continue with our business as a registration, helping the community. And then it will be a great opportunity if you guys consider this bill and give us the opportunity for us to continue serving the public at general, since my school has been, like I said before, since 1989. And then I'm a widow, teach how to drive, and do the DMV services. So give us the opportunity to hear us about this new bill and continue for us and our business. Thank you for your time. My name is Lena Giron, G-I-R-O-N. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for spelling your name.
My name is Brian Foster. I own the DMV Do DMV service, and I'm here to support Bill 243 for DMV registration services. Thank you.
I don't see anyone else in Las Vegas. If we can go to the phone lines for public comment at this time.
To participate in public comment, please press star 9 on your phone to take your place in the queue.
Hello, how you doing? My name is Francisco Arias. I'm one of the owners to one of the DMV services here in Las Vegas. Well, I've been in business for 24 years, me and my brother. We are happy that we have taken on this role as entrepreneurs and also business owners. I just thank each and one of you guys to take the time to listen to each one of us, to the committee, to the office of the governor. I just thank you so much. It means a lot, not just to me and my office, but to everybody that's sitting there and listening to have an opportunity to have a hearing for SB 243. I would just like to, going back to, being a business owner for 24 years, that's been amazing. It has grown an awesome passion within me to help the community. Just to share the people's comments, it brings joy to me. It's a blessing to me, as well as for anybody that's here on this call. Everybody knows and has experienced what it is to help persons that come through our offices, especially when they don't know what they're doing. They just want to get things done. They're like, here, let me, I know you can get it done. They have that confidence enough to do it for them. And that just tells me that, that I've been doing right by them. I just think that this opportunity has been arisen for us, and I hope that you guys find in your heart to consider us having a hearing for SB 243. Thank you so much for your time.
If we can go to the next caller, and I'll just remind callers to please spell your name for the record.
Yeah, hello. My name is Louis Blondet, Luisblondet. Do you get that?
We did. Go ahead and begin when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm here in support of Bill 243. There's a lot of us customers that depend on it. The service providers, they can navigate the system quite well. They're available anytime you want. They're available during lunch. They're available during breaks, before work, after work. They know everything and they handle everything. So let's reciprocate some of that, some of that will by supporting this bill 243. It's good for the community. It's good for us. Thank you.
Next caller.
Excuse me. Hi, my name is Brandy Kimmett. It's BrandiKimmett. I work for a DMV services company here in Las Vegas, Nevada. I have been with them for 6 years. This is my livelihood. Excuse me. If this bill is not heard and given the opportunity to be heard, it will destroy not only the financial income I have coming in to help support myself and my child, but it will destroy a lot of other hardworking families out here in this community, along with the customers and the public that are struggling to get into the DMV. It is way too hard for them to get in there, making an appointment only to be shut out and told them that they are missing documents and have to return and make another appointment to come back a month or more later. Giving this opportunity to support Bill SB 243 will give us an opportunity to continue to help the public as where they need to be helped. Help those people that are doing these opportunity and this job to support themselves and their families. Please, we are begging you to please consider this and give us the hearing that we deserve and help and support SB 243. I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, you guys.
If we can go to the next caller.
Caller with the last 3 digits, 189, please press star 6 to unmute yourself.
Hello, this is Michael Arnop, ARNOPP with DMV Solutions. We've been in the DMV services business for about 16 years now. And I started the business with a small goal just to, provide a service for the community and to actually pay for my daughter's college. But it's become much more than that now. It's really a livelihood. And it contributes to my mortgage, my taxes. It puts food on my table and so forth. And I really like what we're doing here. I think SB 243 is an excellent idea because, we just want to get that hearing on it and get the public involved as much as we can. So I'm respectfully requesting this committee, please have a hearing on 243 because of the future of my business and everybody else on the phone depends on it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next caller.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Yolanda Rodriguez, YOLANDA RODRIGUEZ. I owned Fast DMV Services. I've been in business for over 14 years. I have been growing my business. Now I started with 1. Now I have 3 locations. I currently employ 10 people, and this will definitely, calling because I wanted to see if you guys can give it the opportunity of hearing for SB 243. It will definitely impact the growth for us as a small business and woman-owned business. Most of the employees that I have are single moms. They are, they look forward on continuing working because their schedules are really flexible. I really hope that you guys can give a chance to hear SB 243. That way it can help all our small businesses. It would be over 241 businesses only in the state of Las Vegas, only in Las Vegas area, that will be affected if this doesn't get heard. Please, I ask for SB 243 to get a hearing.
Thank you. Next caller.
Hello, my name is Linoshka Rodriguez, LINOSHKA, RODRIGUEZ, and I am calling in support to get a hearing for SB 243. I work for a DMV services company, and I've seen firsthand the positive impact it has on the community. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Riley Collins, RYLIE COLLINS, and I strongly support Bill 243. Thank you.
Thank you. We can go to our next caller.
Hello, my name is Blanca Ochoa, and I'm calling in support of SB 243 to please be heard. I am a Nevada consumer and have used DMV services and understand how valuable these services are to the community. There are so many people in the community that need this type of service so much. Construction workers, casino workers, people that their schedules just do not help as far as being able to make it to the DMV, even when they are able to make an appointment. Many times they are lost because they are just not able to get the time off from work. Please, I ask it as a Nevada consumer in support of SB 243 for this hearing to go through. Thank you. And my name is BLANCA, last name OCHOA. Thank you.
Thank you for spelling your name. Next caller.
Chair, the public line is open and working. However, there are no more callers at this time.
Thank you. And I just want to say thank you to all those people that are in the Las Vegas and also stayed here in Carson City to testify in public comment. I know it was a particularly long meeting, so I know the entire committee appreciates that you are civically engaged and advocating for things that you think are right. So thank you for staying here. And with that, I will close public comment, and we are going to be adjourned until next Monday.